Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of my number of Chasing Labels. I'm your host, Andrew Cabral, and we are back here once again for another hopefully fun-filled episode of Chasing Labels. This is episode spy number 197. The next big milestone, of course, is the big 200, which will probably be happening next month. Excuse me. There are still a couple of more episodes to go through this month. Actually, I think one or two more. I don't know. I have to look at my calendar. Anywho, in September we'll be celebrating episode spine number 200, and if you have not joined us here before, this is the podcast YouTube channel place, if you will, where we discuss the various announcements in the world of the boutique labels from the last 2 weeks or so. It's not everything from the home entertainment or home video world from the boutique label realm. It is most things, most consistently the things from labels that you may be well aware of or labels you may not be well aware of. Either way, hopefully you learn something or you get a refresher on what is going on. It's usually mostly things that I'm interested in adding to my collection eventually, or things I'm just interested at all. And in this week's episode or spy number, we will be going over all of the Vinegar Syndrome and OCN partner label titles. Arrow Video had their announcements for October, I believe. Kino is always announcing some things, and I think Hammer has a release. Imprint, Umbrella had their announcements as well. Imprint never stops announcing things, literally almost every week now, or every other week, depending on the way things go there. But we will be getting into all of that. Some other housekeeping things here. There was recently an episode of The Unwatched Pile, and there will be a new episode of The Unwatched Pile coming up this weekend. Let me bring my calendar out because I always forget absolutely everything. Let me see. So I believe this Saturday, which is the 15th, there will be an episode of The Unwatched Pile. For those of you who have not watched The Unwatched Pile before, it is a show that we do here where we pick something off of our unwatched pile, something we've had sitting on that pile for sometimes months, sometimes years, sometimes days. Who really knows? We take it off, we finally watch it, and then we pair it up with another movie in our collections to make a good double feature, essentially. And we kind of give our reasons why those two movies would make a good double feature. I have not picked my pick yet for the Unwatched Pile, but I will be doing that soon enough. Recently here on Chasing Labels, we also did a Criterion review of two of the Criterion titles that have been released this month of August of 2026. We did Harlan County, USA, which just got a 4K UHD disc. And then I reviewed the Eclipse series number 49, 5 radical documentaries by Kazuo Hara and Sachiko Kobayashi. So that was a lot of fun to do because I don't get to talk about Eclipse series that often or talk about the history of the Eclipse series that we've had from Criterion so far, going back to the DVD days. And this is continuing right along with their re-energizing, reissuing, rebooting of the Eclipse series line, this time in HD, in Blu-ray form. I highly recommend this release. This is a really excellent set of 5 documentaries ranging from the 1970s all the way up to 2016, and they are unlike any other documentaries that I've seen before. But I went into all of that in that episode. We, of course, have our show called Movies Down Memory Lane, which is where we pick a singular movie, and Steven, myself, and our friend Dan Skip Allen all talk about talk about the movie. Each of us pick one, in rotating. One does one episode, one does another. I'm one that's coming up for us is we're talking about Before Sunrise, which is the Richard Linklater film from 1994. It was my choice, actually. So we'll be talking about that towards the end of this month. So I think there will be another episode of Chasing Labels before that comes out. But let's get into all of the stuff that's come out. Let me quickly share the screen here. We will be starting off probably with the Vinegar Syndrome announcements. Why not? Those were literally right around the last episode. So we will get into all of those. First up here, let's get into the Vinegar Syndrome proper titles. Let's see. These were from August 4th. Now let me make the screen a little bit bigger. I don't know if people necessarily want to see me or if they want to see the titles. I see, I make myself a little bit bigger. So let's get into all the Vinegar Syndrome titles proper. We have Bloody Psycho, which is getting a 4K UHD release. We have an alternate cover of Bloody Psycho as well. So if you want, if you don't like the first cover, you can get the second cover. Then we have Unknown Origin, which is getting a 4K UHD release. And then we're having a 4K UHD release of Ice Cream Man, not to be confused with the current movie that's directed by Eli Roth, that's currently in theaters as of this recording. This is a completely different movie, and apparently they don't have anything to do with one another. I thought the Eli Roth movie was a remake of this, but apparently it's not. So there you go. There are multiple movies called Ice Cream Man. This is the one starring Clint Howard. I think this was, I want to say, like a direct-to-video movie of the time. It feels like it certainly does. Super low budget. And then we have Faces of Death 3. So if you've seen Faces of Death and Faces of Death 2, Faces of Death 3 is more of the same. More of the same. I did not watch this one because I was so incredibly bored with Faces of Death 2. I almost couldn't get through it because I was just so bored with it. It's kind of the same stuff over and over again. It's just, reenactments or representations or fake, things to do with death, scenes to do with death, and someone's either narrating it or saying something, monologuing over it or whatnot. And there's no plot, there's no nothing going on in these movies. It's all for shock value. And I was just so bored with the second one that I'm like, I'm not going to watch the third one. And I know I think there's a fourth and fifth one. So I assume Vinegar Syndrome is going to be putting out those as well. I mean, might as well continue with the series. Next up here is a movie I actually have in my collection on a snapper case DVD. And this is the movie The First Deadly Sin. And then Iconoscope, which is a newer sub-label from Vinegar Syndrome. They're dealing more with TV movies, actually, and TV content in general, or TV series and shows and stuff like that. We have Death of a Cheerleader and Disappearance. So let's get into some of these. Most of these, like I said, I did get to see, so we'll get into them. So first is Bloody Psycho. Let's get into all of this. Let me make sure things are actually visual on here. You guys can see it. Yeah, you can. Okay. Let's see. Bloody Psycho. Let me read a little of some of this. Sorry, I'm just blanking. Esteemed parapsychologist Dr. Werner Vogler has come to the castle home of Miss Razori, a beautiful but irascible wheelchair-bound aristocrat, to practice his famed energy healing on her. Arriving on the grounds, Vogler is immediately struck by the sense that something dreadful once occurred at the castle, and he soon learned that its abandoned wing is rumored by locals to be haunted. Sure enough, as the stay progresses, the doctor begins to be assailed by gruesome visions of a frenzied stabbing and ghoulish figure in a wheelchair. With aid of a local journalist and Mrs. Razori's estranged cousin, Marcella, Vogler starts to unravel the castle's ghoulish past, unwittingly setting in motion a horrifying and bloody series of events. Produced as part of a direct-to-video horror movies distributed under the banner of Lucio Fulci Presents to capitalize on the Italian godfather of gore's name, 1989's Bloody Psycho stands as one of the most downright entertaining entries in the cycle, serving up an assortment of brutal supernatural slashings alongside a healthy dose of sexual intrigue. Helmed by director Leandro Lucetti and reuniting actors Bridget Christensen and Marco Di Stefano from the previous year's Blood Delirium. The Italian horror hounds of Vinegar Syndrome are delighted to let Bloody Psycho loose in its world. The UHD premiered, restored in 4K from the original 16mm negative, and stacked with a host of brand new special features. And those special features are 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc, 4K UHD in Dolby Vision, high dynamic range, newly scanned and restored in 4K from the 16mm original camera negative. Commentary track with film historian and critic Rachel Nisbet. An involuntary cult, an interview with director Leandro Lucetti. Italy's Danish Scream Queen, an interview with actress Bridget Christensen. Desecrating the Frock, an interview with actor Marco Di Stefano. Plunging into any genre, an interview with actor Vasily Karas. Uh, Avo, a love story and an appreciation of the Avo film, the Italian home video distributor of Lucio Fulci, presents titles by film critic Pier Maria Bocci, or Bocchi. And reversible sleeve art, and then newly translated English subtitles. I did see this movie. I can't remember. I saw it like 2 weeks ago. I can't remember if I actually liked it or not. I remember there being scenes that were incredibly well done with practical special effects of gore makeup and stuff like that. And it's a good, decent haunted house type of movie. It's presented by Lucio Fulci, but I think it's mostly just putting his name on it to sell it to people. I feel like that's mostly the case, but it's fine slash okay. I don't, like I said, it didn't make a big impression on me really that much. Moving on from Bloody Psycho, let's move over to Of Unknown Origin. So Of Unknown Origin is an interesting movie because this movie stars Peter Weller. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Peter Weller in this movie would kind of be a little bit forgettable. I feel like his acting in this movie and the fact that he's such a good actor really made the whole scenario incredibly believable. If you've seen the movie Mouse Hunt, the movie from the 90s, this is kind of like that, but darker and with Peter Weller playing it way more serious than that movie. That movie was definitely like a comedy that kids watch. I know I watched it as a kid. This movie, similar type of premise where it's basically Peter Weller versus a rat that is just infesting his house and destroying his home, uh, and he can't stop it. Basically, ambitious Manhattan executive Bart Hughes has pretty much got it made. He and his beautiful wife and young son live in an exquisite Upper East Side brownstone that Bart himself renovated entirely by hand, and he's just been handed a difficult project at work, which could advance him considerably. But when his wife and son take a trip to Vermont, a most unwanted intruder joins Bart at home, a being which will challenge all his wits, cunning, and brute force. A shrewd New York City rat proves its survival instincts can shred any human's nerves just as it chews through wires or concrete. Only one animal can win in this battle at home, but which one? So basically, that's the movie. Peter Weller has this beautiful, once broken down brownstone in New York City that he renovated himself. It's beautiful. He's a wealthy kind of executive guy. I think he works at like an ad agency or something like that. Anywho, he's well off. He's well off. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a young son. No, it's all happy. It's all nice. But there's this rat living in his home, and he can't get rid of it no matter what he does. He tries to call exterminators. All the exterminators are busy. He tries to get rid of it himself, can't do it. He tries to figure out all kinds of ways, and it just slowly drives him absolutely crazy. And it starts just eroding and affecting his life. And this is Peter Weller before RoboCop, before anything like that. This is 1983 Peter Weller. It's an interesting movie. Like I said, the premise is a little goofy, but because Peter Weller is so good in the movie, he carries the premise pretty darn well. This release here has a 2-disc set, one 4K disc, one Blu-ray disc, Dolby Vision high dynamic range, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm original camera negative. Archival commentary track with George P. Cosmatos and actor Peter Weller. So George P. Cosmatos is a name probably many of you know of. He directed, well, he's the credited director of Tombstone, but that movie had all kinds of behind the scenes issues when it came to making of that movie. So I don't know how much he actually directed that movie, but he directed several other films many of you may be aware of. He directed Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. He directed Rambo First Blood Part 2. He directed the movie Leviathan as well. Let me see what else we've got here. Let's see. I think that's those are kind of the highlights. Yeah, those are the highlights. But it's a name that I certainly remember. But let's see. Let me just see what the other special features are here as I toggle through everything. So we've got archival track, brand new commentary track with Bill Bria and Ashley Coffin from Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater podcast. Man vs. Rat, a new interview with actor Dr. Peter Weller. Yes, Peter Weller has a PhD, actually. I think he's had a PhD since like 2014. I forgot what he teaches. I don't know if it's something to do with art. I don't know if it's art history or something like that. But there's another interview here. Out of the blue, a new interview with actress Jennifer Dale. The Art of Rat, new interview with special effects artist Stephen Dupois or Dupuy. Don't know how to say that. Of unknown origin, from animal attack movie to urban survival thriller, a video essay by film historian and author Sam Deegan. Location then and now with Canadian writer, director, and film programmer Vincenzo Nappi. The origin of the unknown origin, an archival interview with producer Pierre David. Hey, weren't you in Scanners? An interview with actor Louis Delgrand. That Rat movie, an archival interview with writer Brian Taggart, and then theatrical trailer, still gallery, etc., etc. So that is the movie Of Unknown Origin. And the reason why it's called Of Unknown Origin, because apparently there's this thing that rats don't have a known origin, which I find kind of interesting. But that's why the movie is called Of Unknown Origin. Then we have The Ice Cream Man, or just Ice Cream Man. Not a very good movie. The movie's, I don't know. It's just kind of a regular slasher. Let me read it. Here. Let's see. Gregory Tudor spent years in a mental hospital after the trauma of witnessing the cold-blooded killing of his beloved childhood ice cream man, Butch Brickle. Eventually released to the alleged care of the vapid nurse Wharton, and still entirely consumed with the art of frozen confections, Gregory takes over Butch's ice cream business and, of course, his iconic truck. But Gregory's secret recipes for Rocky Road Pistachio have improved upon those of his idol, as he adds selected bits of human corpses for an extra tasty treat. So basically, you've got Clint Howard as this deranged ice cream man going around town, and not so secretly, because he's like driving around like late at night. Everybody notices that there's an ice cream truck driving around late at night. It's going to be suspicious. And he is driving around, and he's like capturing kids and killing them, and then mixing them with the ice cream. It's a whole thing. You can kind of understand the way this movie is. There's not really much else to it. It's a relatively low budget affair. A lot of like low budget special effects, makeup effects, where like it's clearly a dummy. It's clearly like a severed head is clearly like fake. I mean, nothing's really high budgeted here in any regard. It's fine. I think it's got a bit of a cult following, but it's, like I said, it's fine. Let me put it this way: I wouldn't spend money to rewatch this or to buy this 4K edition of it. It came out in 1995, and I believe it was like I feel like it was a straight to video type of thing. Yeah, Clint Howard's in it. Olivia Hussey is in it. David Naughton is in it, who was in American Werewolf in London. Jan Michael Vincent is in the movie. David Warner, who I remember being the scientist from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret of the Ooze. But with this edition, it's a 2-disc set, 4K Blu-ray, a high dynamic range. Wow, okay. Newly scanned and restored in 4K from its original 35mm camera negative. Commentary track with director Norman Epstein. Ice Cream Man Monster version Summer School Edition. That's 2 hours long with Joe Bob Briggs and Clint Howard. Wow. A 1 in a Million shot, a brand new interview with actor Carl Mackinnon. Happy Days, a brand new interview with special makeup effects artist Brian Blair. What's the Scoop, an archival interview with Clint Howard. That's kind of cool. Directing Ice Cream Man, an archival interview with the director. Recalling Ice Cream Man, an archival interview with producer David M. Goldstein. 40-page perfect bound book with essays by film historians Patrick Dahl, B.J. Colangelo, J.A. Carswell. And that's in the limited edition only, obviously, as those typically are. But that is Ice Cream Man, being put out in 4K UHD by Vinegar Syndrome. Moving on from here, like I said, I didn't see Faces of Death 3. If you've seen the first two, it's more of the same. But I did see First Deadly Sin. Now, First Deadly Sin is an interesting, like 1980 neo-noir starring Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra as well as Faye Dunaway is in the movie too. Um, this is an interesting movie. It feels like a movie almost made at the wrong time. Like I feel like this was a movie that should have been made in the 60s, but it came out in 1980. Excuse me. Detective Sergeant Edward X. Delaney has only a few weeks left before he retires after decades of service with the NYPD. Weary after seeing it all in a city now down at the heels. Wow. And with his wife just hospitalized with critical organ failure, he finds himself desperate to sort out a few Manhattan serial killings, which leave victims with a gaping round hole in their skulls. His captain wants him off, the department doesn't care, and all that Delaney has left in his dogged determination and a few sympathetic old friends and civilians who lend him a hand. So, meanwhile, the killer's mysterious weapon and completely random means of choosing his victims on the dark, isolated, affluent neighborhoods is all for Delaney to solve in a city that no longer seems to make any sense. So it's Frank Sinatra as an old world weary detective who's about to retire in a few weeks, and he gets himself involved in this serial killer case, or what he believes to be a serial killer case, where all of these victims are showing up with the same cause of death. They've all been hit with some type of hammer, a specific type of hammer, actually, one that's used specifically for rock climbing. And that leads him down this road of trying to figure out that case. Meanwhile, the kind of B plot that kind of gets wedged into this movie is that his wife Faye Dunaway is in the hospital for I forgot which it's some type of organ failure. So sometimes during the movie we'll just cut back to him visiting her in the hospital, and those scenes are kind of just wedged in there. Like I said, they're not really intricate to the plot. I guess they're character stuff, but even then they're not that interesting. They're not that interesting to me. The stuff that I find more interesting is the investigative stuff. Him out on the streets, him trying to put clues together, him going to crime scenes, him dealing with the other police officers, the other detectives, all that kind of stuff. Him trying to put these clues together and whatnot. That's a little more interesting to me. Um, Let's see, who else is in the movie? James Whitmore's in the movie. Joe Spinell shows up in the movie at one point. Yeah, this is a VSL release, so this is a Vinegar Syndrome Labs release. Like I said, I've had this on DVD for a little while. A friend of mine actually gave it to me as a gift, like randomly. I don't know if it was last year. I think it was last year or the year before. He was just like, "Hey, I have this movie with um, this movie on DVD with Frank Sinatra. Do you want it?" Of course, I'll take it. So it's an old Snapper Case DVD from 1999. That's when that DVD came out. I think it was re-released through Warner Archive at one point, several years later. And this is the first time it's ever been in high definition. It's ever been on Blu-ray. So speaking of which, it's a Region A Blu-ray, newly scanned and restored in 4K. It's going to look so much better than the DVD. From its 35mm interpositive, commentary track with author and telefilm historian Amanda Reyes, commentary track with film critic Travis Woods, a scene with Sinatra, a new interview with actor Jeffrey DeMunn, a consummate artist, a new interview with Laurent Bouzereau, director/producer of Faye from 2024, a tender capstone, a new featurette with James L. Nabar and Gary Schneeberger. Yeah, Schneeberger, film historians and co-authors of Frank Sinatra on the Big Screen, the singer as actor and filmmaker. Cinescapes, a new featurette looking at the locations of the first Deadly Sin, original trailer, still gallery, and reversible sleeve artwork. This is interesting. It's an interesting part of Frank Sinatra's oeuvre as an actor. I know many of us obviously know him from his work as a musician and entertainer, but he did a lot of acting in his career. Some good, some not so good. He's won an Oscar, actually. I believe he won for From Here to Eternity. Let me look that up pretty quickly, but I'm pretty sure he won for that, and he was nominated a couple of other times as well. Let me see. Frank Sinatra should be the first person that comes up here on IMDb. Let's see. Yeah, he won one Oscar. Let's see what else he was nominated for. But I know, but he's excellent From Here to Eternity. For those of you who have not seen that movie, it's worth a watch. Let's see. Yeah, he was nominated for The Man with the Golden Arm. He was not. He won for, like I said, he won for From Here to Eternity. He was nominated for The House I Live In, and he was a winner of the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award as well. So an honorary Oscar in 1971. Um, so yeah, Frank Sinatra, one of the all-time great entertainers. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me go back to, let me go back to Vinegar Syndrome. Let's see. Oh yeah, we have the 2 TV movies. So we have Death of a Cheerleader, which has a different name, depending on where you live. I'm trying to see if they actually include it here, or if I have to go look it up. Let's see. I'm just quickly going over. Let me go quickly look it up on IMDb, because it has an alternate name depending on where you live. And Death of a Cheerleader, I think, is the original title. Let's see. Yep, the original, actually, Death of a Cheerleader is not the original title. The original title is A Friend to Die For, also known as Death of a Cheerleader. They're both not great titles. They're both not great titles for this movie, but this is actually based on a true story that happened about a decade before this movie came out. This movie was a TV movie that came out in 1994, and it stars a couple of notable people of the time. Kelly Martin, Tori Spelling, Valerie Harper's in the movie, who was Rhoda back in the Mary Tyler Moore Show back in the 70s. But of course, Tori Spelling, well known, I believe, she was on 90210. Yeah, her father was a big time TV producer back in the 90s. But let me read off this description to you guys. So this is from Iconoscope. Is a new Vinegar Syndrome sublabel dedicated entirely to television. And so we have Santa Mira High is a competitive place where even the principal challenges students to strive for excellence in every regard. No one hears this message more than Angela, who's convinced this is her year to join the newspaper staff, get in with the popular crowd, and make the cheerleading team. But the popular girls are led by Stacy, who's quick with the put down and often more than a little mean. When Stacy suddenly winds up stabbed multiple times and left on a neighbor's doorstep, her death rocks the entire close-knit community of Santa Mira. The police have no real leads or any evidence as to who the killer is, while the high school kids go after their own candidate for the crime. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to sneeze. And any evidence of who the killer is, why the high school kids go after their own candidate for the crime. Now that the FBI has been called in and the media are becoming increasingly involved, will revealing the truth further divide the once peaceful town. Yeah, so it's one of those where I believe Kelly Martin plays the young girl who's trying to strive to be the best. There is a moment in this movie, literally the very beginning of the movie, where the principal is portrayed by, I think, Terry O'Quinn. Yeah, portrayed by Terry O'Quinn is giving like this speech or this pep rally at the beginning of the school year, telling everybody in the school, we're not here just to do good. We're here to be the best at everything. That's what we strive for here at this high school. And this gal literally takes it seriously, where she's like, I'm going to be the best. I'm gonna, join the newspaper. I'm going to join the cheer squad. I'm going to get the best grades. I'm going to do all this kind of stuff. But the one big obstacle that she views in her way is the character portrayed by Tori Spelling, who is kind of all of those things already. She's the most popular. She's, the head honcho in the school. If you've seen the movie Mean Girls, you know all the different cliques that there are in high schools. Hell, if you've been to high school, you know it, how the hierarchy goes and all that kind of stuff. So as you can kind of guess, one in a jealous fit of rage does something regrettable, and the movie kind of goes from there. Like I said, this is based on a true story, which is fascinating in and of itself. So you kind of know what the consequences are. You know what ends up happening. A couple of other people you will recognize in this TV movie: James Avery, who played Uncle Phil in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He is in this movie as like an FBI agent. Krista Miller, who would go on to be in the Drew Carey Show. She would also go on to be in the show Scrubs, and she is currently in the show Shrinking. She's married to Bill Lawrence. I'll talk about a big time TV personality. Bill Lawrence, he the creator of Scrubs, the creator of Shrinking, the creator of, I believe, Ted Lasso as well. So there's some more TV ties for you. And then, of course, Terry O'Quinn, not only a movie actor, but of course, he was in the series Lost. But for special features, we've got um, uh, one Blu-ray, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm original camera negative, newly transferred and restored original 2.0 stereo soundtrack. Yet again, it's a television movie from the 90s, so it's not going to have the best audio quality. Back in the 90s, having stereo sound was a big thing for television. If you had stereo sound, it was considered high quality for television. There's an audio commentary with author and film historian Amanda Reyes. A Friend to Die For, Margaret Langrick is the accidental actor in a floppy hat. An interview with actress Margaret Langrick. To Be the Best, The Dark Side of Establishment Values in Death of a Cheerleader. A visual essay by author and critic Scott Humphreys. Still gallery, original video trailer, 24-page booklet with essay by Amanda Reyes, and reversible sleeve art as well. So that is the movie Death of a Cheerleader. Moving on from there, let's see. We have the other TV movie called Disappearance. Now, this movie I find to be interesting. It came out in 2002. Let's see. While Jim Henley is taking his family on a scenic road trip through the Nevada desert, his son Matt asks them to stop to photograph a ghost town called Weaver. The problem is none of the locals seem to have ever heard of it, and it's not on any of the maps except for a vintage one Matt dug up. Once there, they find more and more evidence that this abandoned town harbors something very alive and extremely perilous, and others who've gone to explore Weaver may have suffered horrible consequences. As they continue to poke around Weaver, an unknown force appears bent on making sure that Jim and his family aren't going anywhere. So what you have here is a family road trip gone wrong. Yet again, you may recognize some of the actors in here. Harry Hamlin is probably one you may know the most of. If you see him, chances are you'll recognize him. Let's see, Susan Day is in this film as well. I'm not sure if you'll recognize any of the other ones in here, but like I said, it's a family vacation gone wrong. They're driving through the desert. First off, isolated locations, get them away from me. isolated locations on vacation, no thank you. Put me in the busy city, please. So they basically get stuck and get lost in the desert and they get stuck in this ghost town, and they're trying to survive because things get weirder and weirder, and the mysteries just get more and more odd as time goes on. For special features here, we have a newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm original camera negative. Audio commentary with director Walter Clenard, moderated by author and film historian Amanda Reyes. Audio commentary with film historian Rob Kelly and author Daniel Budnick. Still gallery, original broadcast trailer, original video trailer, 24-page booklet with an essay by film journalist and critic Simon Foster. So that is it for Disappearance. I actually like this movie more than the other one, to be truly honest with you guys. But that is it for Vinegar Syndrome proper. Now let's move over to the partner labels. Now this is what I like to call the cream of the crop. This is where you find all the good stuff, or many good stuff, if you will. And let me run down all of these and all the different partner labels, and then go into the ones that I found most interesting, or ones that I got to watch, basically. First up is ACFO, or American Genre Film Archive, The Acid Eaters plus a space thing. So that's two movies for the price of one. We have Action Figure Adventure with ETR Media. We have Affection from Brainstorm Media. We have, I think it's Aloise, or yeah, Aloise maybe. I don't know. There's two dots above the I, so I'm not sure if that's if you pronounce that differently. We have Are We Not Cats by Decathlon. We have Black Cab from Shudder. Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm already losing my voice. We have Black Cab from Shudder, which stars Nick Frost as the deranged cabbie. That was actually interesting. And then we have Buffet Infinity from Yellow Veil Pictures. We have Chambermaid from Film Movement. We have Corpus Christi from Film Movement. This is a great movie. This is a great movie. I saw it a couple of years ago when it came out. I think it came out in 2020. Great movie. Film Movement had actually already put this out on Blu-ray, and this is just a re-release of that Blu-ray with a slipcover. So I would circle this one if you guys are interested in getting anything that's kind of a blind buy. Next, we have Deadly Dealings that from Wild Eye Releasing. We have Exposed from Club Super 8. We have Goodbye Paradise from Umbrella Entertainment. We have The Hazing from Wild Eye Releasing. We have Honey June from Circle Collective. I wanted to see this movie so badly, could not find it to watch anywhere. We have Idiotka from Utopia. We have Joan of Arc from Kim Stim. We have Continental 25 from 1-2 Special. We have another double feature. We have Love is a Stranger and Love is a Stranger Again from Saturn's Core. We have Macho Dancer from Connie. Still don't know how to pronounce it. My Soul Desire from Film Movement. And we've got Night of the Hunted from Shudder. We have Not Quite Hollywood, which I already have on Blu-ray from Umbrella. So we'll get into that. That's a great documentary. We have Shirkoa, In Lies We Trust from Dark Star. We have The Shepherd and the Bear from, is that Willa? Yeah, Willa. We have Softshell from Factory 25. We have Sword of Trust from IFC Films. That's a Lynn Shelton film. That is Lynn Shelton's last film that she made before she passed away. Yeah, definitely worth noting. I watched it, and definitely worth noting. We have the movie Tenement from Dark Sky, Toga Party Massacre from VHS Hitfest. This you can actually watch on YouTube for free. It's a 1989 shot-on-video movie that is about as low budget as you can possibly imagine. We have The Wailing from being put out by Film Movement. We have We're All Going to the World's Fair, but being re-released by Utopia with a new slipcover. This had already been released a couple of years ago. This is the Jane Schoenbrunn film, and with her newest film being in theaters relatively around now, I guess that's why they wanted to re-release her first film. And then finally here we have Young Mothers put out by Music Box Selects. And yeah, we are... there's a plethora of stuff to talk about here. I got to watch a bunch of these. Let's work ourselves backwards here. So We're All Going to the World's Fair. I want to make sure people are aware of this. This is a re-release of the same edition that was put out a couple of years ago, just with a new slipcover. And yeah, I think it's the same release. I don't think there's anything new here. Definitely, if you're a fan of Jane Schoenbrunn, I Saw the TV Glow was one of my favorite movies the year it came out. I want to see her new movie so damn badly, but it's a slow, limited release. It pisses me off. So it'll get a limited release this week. It'll get expanded a little bit next week. Hopefully it comes to my area. It's Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, starring Hannah Einbinder and Gillian Anderson. It's one of my most highly anticipated movies of the year, by Jane Schoenbrunn. So I'm super looking forward to that. I actually don't have We're All Going to the World's Fair. I'm trying to track down the original release, the one with the original slipcover. It goes for a pretty penny on eBay. It goes for quite expensive. So maybe the route to go will be to be getting this re-release of it. But I want to make sure people are aware that if you missed out on the limited edition the first time, there's a new limited edition with a new slipcover design. I didn't get to see The Wailing. I did see Toga Party Massacre. Like I said, it's on YouTube to watch. It's quick. It's quick, fast to watch. It's exactly what you think it is. If you've seen movies or are aware of movies that came out in the 80s, the other slashers like Slumber Party Massacre or Prom Night or or sleepaway camp, anything where like everyone's set in one location and then the killer starts killing people. It's that type of movie, but it looks like it was shot by a bunch of friends in somebody's house with no budget, no lighting, and somebody's camcorder from 1988. That's exactly what this movie is. For special features here, it looks like just a bunch of stuff. Um, it's a region-free Blu-ray. You get the original VHS cut of the movie, trailer. You get a making of Toga Party Massacre, the Metalhead Muse, an interview with Matt Collada, and Mary the Final Girl, an interview with Celia Farron. You get so there's a bunch of interviews with people who were in the movie. Excuse me. And I think it's a bunch of other like short films in here as well. Um, this movie is shot or partially shot by what's his name from American Movie? Mark Borchardt. Yeah, Mark Borchardt, who did American Movie. American Movie is one of the best um, movies about making movies that you could possibly watch if you're into making movies. It's such an interesting, unique look about someone who has all the passion in the world to make a movie, but doesn't quite have the skill to do it. You're mostly watching that movie because it's so unintentionally funny about who this person is, Mark Borchardt, his friend, his uncle that he's getting money from to make the movie, and all this stuff. It's truly a remarkable documentary. But then that's also the reason why I watched this as well. So that's Toga Party Massacre. Once again, making our way. I watched the movie Tenement. Did I watch this? Yeah, by Dark Sky. Wow, they're already down to standard editions. Okay. Following the death of her mother, a Japanese Cambodian manga artist decides to travel to Cambodia along with her boyfriend in a quest to find out more about the country her mother fled from. She reunites with the lost family and moves into the apartment where her mother used to live. As she tries to find out more about her past, she's confronted by strange events within the building that hint at something darker going on with the residents. What first appears as overcaring considerations from the community towards the newcomers soon turns out to be part of a ritual. The residents are preparing a new host for the building's evil spirit before it starts killing them once again. So it's one of those things, haunted building, you're not expecting it. But once you go to this place, things aren't quite the way you expect them to be. For the special features here, there's a video interview with the actress Tom Thorn Thanet. Behind the scenes with actor Hoseda Yoshiko and Thorn Thanet. Video interview with the director of photography and Jeremiah Overman. Video interview with co-writer / co-director Neith. Oh boy, I cannot. What's that? Erastithrep and Che Sokyo. Of course, with English subtitles. It's a weird, surreal movie. I would say it gives the same vein as like a Rosemary's Baby or The Tenant. Yeah, it's interesting. Next, we have Sort of Trust. This, like I said, is Lynn Shelton's last film she made before she passed. This stars Mark Maron is in this film. Michaela Watkins. Let's see. Mel, portrayed by Mark Maron, is a cantankerous pawn shop owner in Alabama who spends most of his time swindling customers while trying and failing to get his man-child employee Nathaniel to do any work. When Cynthia, Jillian Bell, and her wife Mary, portrayed by Michaela Watkins, try to hawk a Civil War-era sword inherited from Cynthia's recently deceased grandfather, he tries to get the better of them. The sword, however, comes with a convoluted report from Cynthia's grandfather claiming the relic to be proof of the South actually winning the Civil War. It isn't long before the coveted prover item draws the attention of overzealous conspiracy theorists, and the two duos have to join forces in order to sell the sword to the highest bidder. The journey that ensues takes this ragtag bunch on a tour through the Deep South and the minds of the local fanatics who inhabit it. Kind of yes, kind of no. It's way more low-key than that. There's not a lot of fanaticism going on in this movie, not a lot of craziness going on. It's incredibly low-key. Lynn Shelton worked within the mumblecore world of indie filmmaking. So, like I said, low-key type of stuff. I really like the movie actually a lot. I'm kind of very much in tune with that whole mumblecore scene that really sprouted up in the 2000s and is still around to this day. But Mark Maron is really great in this movie. I think Mark Maron should be doing more acting. I don't know why he doesn't do more acting. I know he had um his long-standing podcast that he did. Of course, he's a stand-up comedian as well, but I think he's a really good actor, and he's really good in this movie. His comedic timing is very sharp, which makes sense. Like I said, stand-up comedian, but this movie is kind of outlandish, and there's a lot of scenes which go on and on and on. I feel like a lot of the actors are just kind of riffing off one another, kind of improving and doing a lot of improv comedy at times, and it's a rather outlandish plot where um Gillian Bell's now deceased grandfather gives her in his will this sword that he believes to be a relic from the Civil War, which it is actually. That's the truth about it, but it really the made up story about it being the involved in the surrender of the North to the South in some way is completely fabricated and made up in his mind. But the movie goes to show that there are people that we know of in society who do the Civil War reenactments, who believe that the South is going to rise up again, and all this kind of outlandish hilarity and unhingedness in their mind, and all this kind of stuff. The people who carry around Confederate flags and all this kinds of stuff. So the movie's definitely kind of poking fun at them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like the movie. If you're a fan of Lynn Shelton, or if you've never even heard of Lynn Shelton, I would definitely go to her filmography and see the previous films that she directed, and check that out. Check them out. A lot of them are streaming. A lot of them are available on DVD and Blu-ray. But for special features here, there's a new audio commentary with producer Ted Speaker and actors Mark Maron, Michaela Watkins, Gillian Bell, John Bass, and Toby Huss. And then there's a behind-the-scenes featurette booklet with new writing by film critic Mariah E. Gates, our friend Mariah, who has been a guest here on Chasing Labels many, many years ago. She is an author, I would dare say film historian. She's a film critic, and she is the founder of the hashtag Noirvember. So there you go. But this is definitely something I'm going to be getting. I got to get out the other Lynn Shelton films as well. Let's see, moving on from there, let's move over to the next line. A Softshell from Factory 25. What a melancholic movie. Very contemplative, melancholic movie. Talk about indie filmmaking in an incredibly raw form. My goodness. This movie is not going to be for everyone. It's kind of plotless, kind of aimless. It's dealing with a lot of big themes in here, specifically about grief, loss, life, and it's not really saying anything profound about those things. It's not really, um, you know, showing too much of a plot surrounding those elements. They're just ever present throughout this movie. Following the death of their mother, a Thai American brother and sister navigate living in New York City and beyond. Jamie plans an impromptu trip to for her and her brother to get out of the city. Along the way, and upon their return to New York City, the two siblings face a series of unexpected revelations. Shot on 16mm, Softshell gives the mumblecore aesthetic a unique Asian American worldview. Like I was just saying, mumblecore with Lynn Shelton's film, The Sword of Trust, is also applied here as well, but in a much lower status, if you will. Shot on 16mm. The movie has a very dreamlike sequence, a very real world sequence. It feels like they were just shooting this movie guerrilla style on the fly in buildings, on streets, in subways, perhaps without any type of permits, just doing it on the fly, if you will. Very, like I said, guerrilla style. Reminded me a lot of the early works of John Cassavetes, aesthetically, style-wise. Unfortunately, not much in the way of special features here. Andrew Bajalski and Jinho Myung in conversation, casting crew commentary, 16mm short films, 32-page booklet with writing by Rebecca Turner, Daniel Kim, Chi Pham, and Eric Hatch. But this is a really interesting movie. It's a shorter film, too. It's 86 minutes. It's my type of movie. It really is my type of movie. Let's see. Did I see? Yeah, I saw The Shepherd and the Bear. Yes, this movie I thought was a documentary. Um, And I think it is actually. Again, this movie is a documentary. Set high in the majestic French Pyrenees, The Shepherd and the Bear explores a conflict provoked by the reintroduction of brown bears in the midst of a traditional shepherding community. The film follows an aging shepherd who struggles to find a successor as bears prey on his flock, and a teenage boy who becomes obsessed with tracking the bears. Through its breathtaking cinematography and immersive storytelling, The Shepherd and the Bear is a modern folktale about tradition, community, and humanity's relationship with a vanishing natural world. This movie is gorgeous. The cinematography in this movie is stunning, just breathtaking. Um, the plot in and of itself is kind of here and there. Like I said, it is a documentary. It's set in the Pyrenees mountains range. So the Pyrenees mountain ranges are on the borders of Spain and France. So there's a French side and there's a Spanish side. This is set in the French side of those mountain ranges. And for generations upon generations, there have been shepherds taking care of their flocks in those mountains. It's a small, dwindling community as the world has become more and more modern. Obviously, the generations want to, move towards the city. The younger people want to go where the action is. They don't want to stay on the rural farms and take over the shepherding duties, if you will. The movie's dealing a little bit with that, but it's more so about how they're dealing with the brown bears being reintroduced into the ecosystem, into this environment where they have not been for quite a while. There used to be brown bears in this location, and apparently, due to hunting, they've all been kind of, killed off, if you will. But now, due to various, you know, ecological activism and stuff like that, they're being reintroduced via helicopter. They're kind of just dropping them in there. And of course, when you're dropping in these brown bears into this community, they're going to prey on the sheep. So now the shepherds are, worried about all of those issues. It's an interesting movie. I don't know if it's going to be for everyone. But if you're into documentary, there's a lot of stuff in here dealing with when you're dealing with hunting and you're dealing with rural communities, farming communities. There's going to be things done to animals that are going to be uncomfortable for people to see, specifically those who are animal activists, specifically those who are vegetarians. I would not recommend this movie for anyone like that because I will upset them greatly. For special features here, not much. There's a Q&A with Sue Kim and Max Keegan, who is the director, and the Q&A with Steve Dollar and Max Keegan, and that is it. And that is the movie The Shepherd and the Bear. So moving on from there, we have, I saw this last night. This was the last movie I watched. And to be quite honest with you guys, I checked out of it pretty early. It's called Shirkoa in Lies We Trust. This is an animated movie, but it's computer animated. It looks like I'm watching someone try to make a movie using the technology from Fortnite or The Sims. So the animation style kind of put me off to it already. And the movie is interesting with its elements. And that's unfortunate that it was delivered in a package that I think is going to be alienating to a lot of people. This movie is basically like 1984, the George Orwell story, and all of those other movies and TV shows that deal with fascism and totalitarian societies and stuff like that. Unfortunately, like I said, the animation style was kind of off-putting to me personally. That's not a slight against the people who worked on this movie. It looked like a video game. Like I said, some animation in video games can be good, but okay, let's get it. So, in the sophisticated, near-perfect society, Shirkoa, citizens live with paper bags on their heads to dissolve differences. Tensions rise when the whispers of a mythical land without the bags start to float, and a fresh council member sparks an accidental revolution. So you've got this society called Shirkoa where everyone wears paper bags on their heads, and it's done so that everybody is equal. And there you can't notice anybody's differences, therefore prejudice doesn't exist. Or whatever. You know what I mean? It really goes to show that that idea, while on paper, no pun intended, sounds like a good idea, but of course it's impractical. It's unreasonable. It doesn't make a lot of sense in the real world. And of course, revolutions and protests, political activism sparks up, the cries for freedom, speak up, and all that kind of stuff. And another society is created that don't use um, these paper bags over their heads and whatnot. It's like I said, the movie's kind of completely all over the place. It's yeah, it's tough to really nail down what this movie is. It's got good bones to it. Like I'm saying, the themes, the messaging, the political contemporariness of it all, or the evergreenness of it all, is all there. It's the way in which all of it's done is incredibly odd. Oh, incredibly odd, and I would dare say isolating. But for special features, the making of featurette, introduction by Ishan Sukla, who's the director, I believe, yes, interview with producer Bichi Kwan Tran, original story, original short film, Asia Argento music video, Sexodrome, okay, animatic, and that's it. So there is an original 13-minute short film that you can actually watch for free on Vimeo, which I hear is actually a lot better. And that's the thing. This movie in a short version it probably works much better than a long version. By long version, I'm talking this movie's 143 minutes. It's a little too long. It's an hour and 43 minutes. Sorry. It's 103 minutes, hour and 43 minutes, which is too long of a movie for this concept, especially when the world building in this world isn't great. In short form, like a short film, like I said, 13 minutes to 20-minute range, this could work. This could work conceptually very, very well. And from what I heard, the short film does work very, very well. So that is the movie Shikoa. Was it In Lies We Trust? Let's see. Moving on from there. Oh, yeah, Not Quite Hollywood. Here we go. So we've been talking about this documentary for many, many, many years. This is the documentary about the Ozploitation era of Australian cinema. Basically, the 1970s through the 1980s is known as the Ozploitation era of Australian cinema. A lot of those movies have gotten really nice releases in Blu-ray and even in 4K over the last few years. Many of you probably have them in your collection. I mean, some of the bigger ones that I think people are well aware of that came out during that era, the Mad Max movies. Mad Max, Road Warrior, those are the two big ones. George Miller, those works. But other movies that I'm pretty sure many of you have either gotten releases from Umbrella or from Imprint or even from Indicator. They've all put out Australian Ozploitation movies over the last several years, and we've talked about all of them here on Chasing Labels. But this documentary, scenes and interviews from this documentary have showed up as special features on a lot of those releases. So you can go back to the source of all of those here in this documentary. And this is an excellent, excellent documentary. Even if you don't like documentaries and they're not your bag, this is one to watch because that era of filmmaking, the Ozploitation era, is so entertaining and fun, just as an unhinged concept that it's just fun to hear stories about the making of those movies, the different characters and people involved in the making of those movies. If you're a big Quentin Tarantino fan, he is all over this documentary. I think he talks about damn near every single movie in this documentary. And I believe this release here and this release that the partner label is putting out, Magnolia Pictures, has the same contents in it. I'm pretty sure. Let me just go do a quick check and just do a quick overview of this amazing documentary. Not Quite Hollywood is the let me see, a leading independent film. Not Quite Hollywood is the wild, wonderful, untold story of Ozploitation films. It irreverently documents an era when Australian cinema got its gear off and showed the world a full frontal explosion of sex, violence, horror, and foot to the floor action. Yeah, the Ozploitation genre had like everything in it. It had like movies dealing with sex, action, horror, like sci-fi, fantasy. They were uber violent as well. I mean, there's so much involved in here. This document came out in 2009. I would love an updated version of this because there's so much more that's come out in the world of Australia, and probably so many people have so many other things to say about that era. Some of the names in here: Quentin Tarantino, Dennis Hopper, Jamie Lee Curtis, Stacy Keach. They were all involved in. Well, they except Quentin Tarantino was more of a fan, but Jamie Lee Curtis was in an exploitation movie. Dennis Hopper was in Mad Dog Morgan. Stacy Keach was in Road Games? Yeah, Road Games, along with Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, yeah, this is excellent. So we have first this 2-disc release, audio commentary from director Mark Hartley, and the Exploitation Auteurs, audio commentary from Flynn Balfo and Parker Constantine of the Collective of Underground Movie Lovers, deleted scenes and extended scenes with optional commentary, extended trailer reel, US theatrical trailer, and then the disc 2 has 56 minutes of Quentin Tarantino, extra footage, the Lost NQH interview, Chris Lavin, Word with Bob Ellis, Quentin Tarantino and Brian Trenchard Smith interview, Melbourne International Film Festival Exploitation Panel, Melbourne International Film Festival Red Carpet, behind the scenes footage from the crew, UK interview with Mark Hartley, the Bazzer Project segment, the monthly conversation, the business interview, Confessions of an R-rated filmmaker, John D. Lamond interview, on-set interview with Richard Franklin, an audio interview with director Richard Franklin, Terry Bork's Noon Sunday Reel, Inside Alvin Purple documentary, To Shoot a Mad Dog documentary, stills and post gallery, production gallery, pitch promos, Australian theatrical trailer. I think all of that is on this release. Yes, it looks like. Just from doing a quick side-to-side comparison here on the fly, it looks like whether you get the Umbrella Entertainment Blu-ray or whether you get this new play from Magnolia Pictures, you get all of the over 9 hours of extra special features. That's awesome. That's awesome. Like I said, can't highly recommend this documentary enough to people. Not Quite Hollywood. Excellent. Let's see. Moving on from Not Quite Hollywood, let's move to Night of the Hunted from Shudder. Now, and this you can stream over on Shudder if you have that streaming service. If you don't, guess you can buy this Blu-ray. When an unsuspecting woman stops at a remote gas station in the middle of the night, she's made the plaything of a sociopathic sniper with a secret vendetta. To survive, she must not only dodge his bullets and fight for her life, but also figure out who wants her dead and why. This is the Joel Schumacher movie Phone Booth, but set at night at a gas station and nowhere near as good or as interesting. That's the movie. That's the movie. Let's see, a 2-disc set, 4K, and a Blu-ray, new audio commentary with writer Tori Potenza, video interview with director and co-writer Frank Calfoun, video interview with actress Camille Rowe, gallery of behind-the-scenes images, and booklet with new writing by Philip Escott. All right, we've had Philip Escott, I think, here on Chasing Labels once upon a time. Let's see. Oh, yeah, so they do talk about it. So let's see. We have a comment here from Slave to Cinema. How about Wake and Fright? Yes, Wake and Fright. They do talk about it briefly in here. But Wake and Fright recently has gotten 2 pretty stellar releases. Wake and Fright has gotten a big old deluxe release from Umbrella, and they've also gotten a release from Arrow Video as well. So I highly recommend the movie Wake and Fright for people. That movie is great. Good call there, Slave to Cinema. Thank you for mentioning that, because that is another movie that they talk about in here as well. Just radical filmmaking. I feel like there was just no holds barred, no rules filmmaking, which is kind of great. It's what I love about movies. I don't think there should be any rules when it comes to filmmaking, in my opinion. But moving on from Not Quite Hollywood as well as Night of the Hunted, I didn't get to see My Soul Desire, but I did get to see Macho Dancer. Now, this is a fascinating movie. So Macho Dancer, talk about no rules and no holds barred filmmaking, bold filmmaking. I'm just gonna read this here because I don't know how to sum this movie up off the top of my head. One of Lino Brocca's latest lasting successes, 1988's Macho Dancer, admirably blends the maestro's flair for socially conscious melodrama and pulp provocation, setting the template for what would become Viva Film's erotic niche to this day. Upon losing a reliable American client, 18-year-old gigolo Paul leaves his native province to try his luck in the soapy gay soapy gay clubs of Manila. As Paul learns the ropes alongside fellow stripper Noel and savvy prostitute Bambi, he discovers more than his young mind bargained for: an underbelly of protection rackets, human trafficking, and political corruption. Underlying the film's astutely cynical outlook on systemic class-based exploitation in the Filipino context is a neon-lit tale of sexual self-discovery, gyrating between queer desire and heteronormative structures, sensuality and grit, tenderness and violence, heavily censored upon release and hugely successful overseas. Macho Dancer follows the recent rediscovery of Lino Brocca's Bona and is presented here in a new 4K restoration from Viva Film's original film Elements. Yeah, this is a bold film. This movie gets into so many different areas of sex work, nightclubs, drug use, sex trafficking, manipulation of people, all kinds of stuff. It's a wild, wild film. It's 133 minutes long, so you get into a lot of stuff. A lot of sex scenes that are incredibly intimate, a lot of close-ups, a lot of the camera doesn't cut, if you will. Okay, the camera stays pretty still, and it's a very, it's a bold film, certainly for its time, but even for modern audiences as well. I was just completely blown away with this movie. It reminded me a lot of Rainer Werner Fassbender's work. It reminded me a lot of that, just that bold type of filmmaking. It reminded me a lot of that. This movie is going to look fascinating in 4K. I saw it. Obviously, I didn't see the new 4K restoration of it, but it's going to look fascinating to me. Yeah, let's get into the special features. So there's a 2-disc set, 4K, Blu-ray, interview with screenwriter Ricky Lee, interview with actor William Lorenzo, interview with actor Joel Lamongan, Macho Dancer, a critical look archival featurette, theatrical trailer, reversible sleeve artwork. I kind of wish there were more special features for this release, but I understand, special features are expensive to produce. Hopefully this sells well. Yeah, Macho Dancer, 4K UHD release. This is going to be something that I definitely get. Moving on from Macho Dancer, where am I? Ah, yes. So Love is a Stranger and Love is Strange Again, I did not get to see. Continental 25, I did not get to see. This release here of Kim Stim, Joan of Arc, I did not get to release. This is a more modern, I think this is a more modern take. 2019. So this came out in 2019 by Bruno Dumont. To be honest with you guys, there's been so many adaptations or movies made about the life and person of Joan of Arc. Has to be one of the most adapted historical figures of all time. I feel like every couple of years is a new Joan of Arc movie, at least every decade. And that's being generous. I'm wondering if we've said everything we've needed to say about Joan of Arc. I'm trying to see, where do I have? There's the old silent movie Joan of Arc from The Passion of Joan of Arc, which is one of the best Joan of Arc movies ever made. It's one of the best silent movies ever made, and I think I've got it somewhere. I think it's behind me. Hold on for like 3 seconds while I look. Yeah, it's got to be around here somewhere. Anywho, but moving on from there, where am I? Oh yes, Idiotka. Let's talk about Idiotka. I was able to watch this, I think, on Canopy. It was streaming on Canopy. I can't recommend Canopy enough to people. Go out and get your library cards. If you're in the United States, any state, you can get a library card for free. All you really need is like your address and like proof of your existence. You need uh like a photo ID basically that has your name and address on it. And you can sign up for a library card in any state online. I did it during the COVID shutdowns because I wanted to take out some books from the library on the library app, and I was able to do it no problem. But Idiotka is an interesting movie. Margarita, a disgraced fashion designer, enters a reality show, the six-figure cash prize, to save her grandmother's West Hollywood apartment. But as the competition intensifies, the show's slick producer pushes her to spin her family's struggle into spectacle, forcing Margarita to decide whether to play along or take control of her own narrative, one unhinged look at a time. So this movie's interesting. It's trying to be a bunch of different things, and I don't think it's really too overly successful in all of them. You have this character in Margarita who is um she's I guess you could say a an aspiring fashion designer, and she somehow gets on this reality show that's about fashion designing, and it's kind of like a Project Runway, basically like Project Runway, and the producer of the show is portrayed by Camila Mendez, and she wants to construct this narrative around her of like struggling immigrant family, and her father spent time in prison, so they want to exploit those things, but she's like hesitant whether to do all those things just for the sake of being successful on the show and not being necessarily successful for her talent on the show. And plus there's all kinds of other drama going on at home with her relationship with her grandmother and her relationship with her father and her brother and all kinds of things. There's a lot of balls juggling all at once in this movie, and I don't know if it necessarily does them all all great service, but it's ultimately fine for me. It's ultimately fine. There's nothing really revelatory about the movie. You've seen kind of these types of movies before. Uh, so it's fine. But for special features, you have a film photo gallery, behind the scenes photo gallery, New York opening Q&A at the Crown Hill Theater, USC Q&A, the Utopia Screening Room podcast featuring Natasha Popov of Idiotka, Los Angeles opening Q&A of American Cinematic's Los Feliz 3, and official trailer and English subtitles as well. The movie is actually in English, but there is some subtitles when they speak in Russian to one another throughout the movie. And if you have a relationship with your grandparents, specifically your grandmother or grandfather, I think you'll be able to adhere to the movie in a personal way. That's in there as well. But that's the movie Idiotka. Let's move on from there. Let's see. Honey June, I wanted to see so damn bad, couldn't find it. Hazy, I didn't get to see. Goodbye Paradise, I didn't get to see. And Exposed, I did not get to see either. Deadly Dealings, I did not. But Corpus Christi, I saw like 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, because this was released, I think during the pandemic shutdowns. It was one of my favorite movies the year it came out, which I believe was 2019, 2020, around that time period. Things get fuzzy after a while, I'm sorry. But this movie is excellent. And like I said earlier, Film Movement put this out on Blu-ray already, so this is just a re-release of that Blu-ray with a slipcover. And it's getting down to 51 copies left in the limited edition form, so I've got to get on that pretty soon. So anchored by a dynamically physical and wild-eyed performance from newcomer Bartosz Bienia, Corpus Christi is an incisive, dark, humorous, and engrossing exploration of faith, second chances, and the possibility of atonement. After spending years in a Warsaw prison for a violent crime, 20-year-old Daniel is released and sent to a remote village to work as a manual laborer. The job is designed to keep the ex-con busy, but Daniel has a brighter calling. Over the course of his incarceration, he found Christ and aspires to join the clergy, but his criminal record means no seminary will accept him. When Daniel arrives in town, one quick lie allows him to be mistaken for the town's new priest, and he sets about leading his newfound flock. Though he has no training, his passion and charisma inspire the community. At the same time, his unconventional sermons and unpriestly behavior raise suspicions among some of the townsfolk. Even more so, he edges towards a dark secret that the community hasn't revealed in the confessional booth. Yeah. Directed by Jan Komasa. There's an essay by Alexander Helen Nicholas, making a featurette short film, Nice to See You by Jan Komasa, and that is it. Unfortunately, not a lot for what I consider a great movie. Highly recommend checking this movie out in any way you can, whether you buy it on Blu-ray, DVD, or stream it online. Doesn't matter to me as long as you watch the movie. It's really, really good. Corpus Christi. I'm glad it's getting a nice re-release. Moving on from there, Chambermaid I didn't get to see. Buffet Infinity I wanted to see, couldn't find. Black Cab I did watch because I do have Shudder. And what's interesting to me is I don't use Shudder a lot. I basically only use it during the preparations for chasing labels. I only have it to watch either for the Vinegar Syndrome partner stuff when Shudder releases some stuff, or sometimes some other releases. The movies will be on Shudder as well. I don't use it that often. And then it may be around, Halloween time, October, I'll pop on there for some stuff. They have an excellent array of horror films and shows on there that I should really take advantage of. But Black Cab is interesting. Called one of the best streaming services in the world by Roger Ebert and described by Thrillist as pretty much everything a horror fan could want. Shudder is a premium streaming service offering the best selection of horror, thriller, and supernatural movies, series, and specials. After a night out, a couple are kidnapped by their black cab driver. Terrified, he drives them to a deserted, supposedly haunted road, but what is his plan? Is he mad or just plain evil? What's of note of this movie is that Nick Frost is this madcap, unhinged cab driver. And he's really sinister in this movie. Like, he's dark, twisted. Sometimes he's darkly funny as well because he's Nick Frost. But if you're used to seeing Nick Frost in a much lighter, jovial, comedic way, this is not him. It's not that version of Nick Frost. The movie itself is fine. It's nothing really too much to write home about. You've probably seen movies like this before. It's not exactly a story that is new or fresh really in any way. But it's fine. I mean, they've even done, it's been done so many times. They've even done it on the show Supernatural, where there's a haunted road or a haunted street or a haunted place that's got some ghosts there for some reason and whatnot, and you as a viewer have to kind of go along for the ride and figuring out why things are the way they are. It's nothing new. For special features, it's a new audio commentary with director Bruce Goodison and a booklet with new writing by Becky Dark. And that is it for that. That is it for Black Cab. And now we're down to the last row, and I didn't get to see. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see any of these. I didn't get to see the ACFA release or the ETR Media release, Brainstorm Media release, or Several Futures, or the Decanalog release as well. So that's kind of it for my coverage of the Vinegar Syndrome and their partner label titles. We've got some comments here. Illuminated Pro makes a return to the comments. What were my thoughts on the ending of Obsession? That's an interesting term. We were just talking about horror. For me, Obsession is in like my top 5 favorites of the year so far. So I am definitely a big fan of that movie. I've been trying to track down the 4K release with the slipcover. That seems to have had a much more limited run than I thought. And also, I can't find it anywhere. I don't know what's going on. I'm a slipcover enthusiast, so I'm trying to get it with a slipcover. Can't find it. I have, but the ending of Obsession, I don't want to give it away. To me, Bear is the real villain of that movie. We talked about it a lot here on, oh goodness, an episode of of, was it Movies Down Memory Lane, or was it The Unwatched Pile? It was one of the two. We did a whole third segment of one of those two where we talked about the movie and entirely, pretty much. I can't remember which show it was, but we talked about it here on Chasing Labels. What's interesting is, it's interesting you bring that up, because Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios is going to have someone dress up as Nikki from that movie to scare people. And I'm like, she's not the monster in that movie. she's she's not the she's not the monster in that movie. Bear is the monster in that movie. He's the one who people should be afraid of. Odd. Let's see. Okay, is that the movie? Let's see. I don't think I've seen it yet. Did you get a chance to see Our Hero Balthazar? It's coming to Apple TV tomorrow. I have not seen it. Illuminator Pro also says the last new film I bought was Send Help for the deleted scenes and the commentary. I need to get that as well. That's another one where the slipcover for some reason has such a limited run on those that people are selling those for like $100 on eBay with the slipcover. It's insane. It's insane. I rewatched Man Without a Face recently. I keep thinking about it. Have you seen it? Illuminator Pro also asked that as well. The Man Without a Face, is that the movie with Mel Gibson? If I do recall, I haven't seen it in 20 years. Let's see. Yeah, that's the movie with Mel Gibson from 1993. Talk about a movie no one talks about. Goodness gracious. That's the movie directed by Mel Gibson and starring Mel Gibson. I've only ever seen that on like cable television 20 years ago. It's been a while. It's been a long time. And then Illuminator Pro says, I almost got the 4K at B&N. Someone put one copy they had on hold, got the Blu-ray instead. I think the ending could have been better. I'll just say Bear is definitely the villain, though. Yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious. People have been having those debates for months on the internet about who is the villain of the movie Obsession. I thought it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious. But now that we're done with Vinegar Syndrome and the partner labels, let me move over to, let's see. Let's move over to Imprint, shall we? So, because Imprint's got their September bundle release, their September releases, and it is a 60s and 70s. Here we are. 60s and 70s, like British films, basically. So we have Oh What a Lovely War, which we've talked about here on Chasing Labels before. The Strange Affair, Only When I Larf, All Coppers Are ... And then we've got And Then There Were None, and that is it. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 releases for the month of September from Imprint. And Oh What a Lovely War, excuse me while I look up. Someone put that out recently, and we talked about it here on Chasing Labels. I think it was the episode where our friend Dustin was on, and I remember him really liking that movie or something. Yeah, Oh What a Lovely War got a release from Eureka in the UK back in July. So about a month ago, it got a release from Eureka. That's why we talked about it a few months back. And Oh What a Lovely War, I think, is excellent. It's actually like a musical adaptation, or an adaptation of a musical, rather. And it's interesting. Let me see what the special features are for this. Unfortunately, I've got to look up these individually because they decide not to include the special features in their bundle, where you can do the whole bundle. So, Oh What a Lovely War, based on the 1963 stage musical, Attenborough assembled an extraordinary ensemble cast for this lavish epic. Laurence Olivier, Maggie Smith, Dirk Bogarde, Vanessa Redgrave, John Gielgud, John Mills, Kenneth Moore, Ralph Richardson, Michael Redgrave, Ian Holm, Edward Fox, and Susanna York. Following the working-class Smith family as they are swept up in the tide of war, the film unfolds against the stylized backdrop of Brighton's West Pier, a theatrical stage on which the entire catastrophe of the 1914 to 1918 World War One is played out with dark wit and growing horror. Awarded 4 out of 5 stars by critic Roger Ebert, who described the film as an elaboratively staged tableau. Richard Attenborough has given us a breathtaking evening. Yeah, the movie is, if you're into movie musicals, it is gorgeously lavish. And also the social commentary, the political commentary in it is very, very good too. Let's see, we've got a new commentary by filmmaker, film historian Daniel Kramer, audio commentary by director Richard Attenborough, Oh What a Lovely Billing, actress Wendy Alnut on Oh What a Lovely War, Oh What a Lovely camera operator, camera assistant Eddie Collins on Oh What a Lovely War, Welcome to World War One featurette, the Smith, and then we have the Smith Family album featurette, Keep the Home Fires Burning featurette, director Sir Richard Attenborough on the National Film Theatre for the BFI, and that is Oh What a Lovely War. Uh, yeah, good movie. Whether you get the Eureka release or you get this release, it's worth a watch. It really is. But let's move on to The Strange Affair, which I actually watched yesterday. The Strange Affair is interesting. Kind of an uncomfortable movie. And I'll get into the reasons why. This movie stars Michael York. Let's see. Fresh-faced rookie police constable Peter Strange arrives on the job full of idealism, but London has other ideas. When a seasoned and increasingly unhinged detective sergeant named Pierce gets wind of a compromising secret in Strange's private life, the young officer finds himself blackmailed into the murky world of organized crime, corrupt police, and pornographers, all while Pierce pursues his own obsessive vendetta against the mob boss Quince. Emblematic of the swinging 60s, this stylish and sometimes quirky picture was shot on location in London and is filled with twists, turns, and unmistakable British flair. Okay, so yeah, the movie stars Michael York, Jeremy Kemp, Susan George, star in The Strange Affair, a crime drama from director David Green, based on the novel by real-life former policeman and private investigator Bernard Toms. The reason why I find this movie very uncomfortable is Michael York is playing a rookie cop in this movie who is having a relationship with an underage girl. It's very unsecretive that this is who this is. He knows it, she knows it, we as audience members know it. Even the actress who portrays this character is underage while they made the movie. It's very uncomfortable. Whether it's 1968 or 2026, it's very uncomfortable to watch, and it really makes me queasy while watching the movie. Um, and it's like, am I supposed to feel bad for this guy while he's doing something oh so reprehensible? Needless to say, that relationship actually gets him in a lot of trouble. Hence why his character is then blackmailed to do even more criminal things, and things go from there. Uh, uh, yeah, that's kind of the movie. For special features, we have Green Recruits featurette, In Like Quince, interview with actor David Glazer, and that is it. Okay, not really much to write home about here. The movies, and the thing is, the movie's like is good. The movie's fine. We have two separate plots in the movie. We have the one with Michael York, the one with this other character who's going after these mob bosses, and then they all kind of merge and intertwine with one another pretty seamlessly. The movie is well put together, well shot, well acted. It's just the plot elements are kind of gross. So be forewarned when you see this movie. I understand it's the swinging 60s. I understand it's a different time. Doesn't mean that we can't be uncomfortable while watching this movie. Next, we have Only When I Larf, which I did not get to see. And All the Coppers Are, I did not get to see, but these are other like 1960s and 1970s British films. And then There Were None, I did get to see. So, And Then There Were None is a movie based off of an Agatha Christie story. Let's see if I can find it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this This movie is also known as 10 Little Indians or And Then There Were None. Kind of all depends on where you're from. It will depend on which title the movie is under. So, released in the US as 10 Little Indians, this marked the third time Agatha Christie's timeless mystery had reached the big screen. The big screen, armed with a superb ensemble cast, including Richard Attenborough, Oliver Reed, Herbert Lom, Elk Sommer, and directed by Peter Collinson, who did The Italian Job with Michael Caine. I've been wanting to get that in my collection for a while. Kino put out a 4K of that several years back, and I've been wanting it for so long. I've never owned the original Italian Job in any format. I've always wanted it. But 10 strangers arrive by helicopter at a grand hotel deep in the Iranian desert, adjacent to the ancient ruins of Persepolis. Their enigmatic host fails to appear, but a recorded message does, leveling a serious accusation at each guest in turn. Before long, the guests begin to die, each death mirroring a line from a children's nursery rhyme, and the survivors are forced to confront a terrifying truth. The killer is one of them. This exotic adaptation was produced by Harry Allen Towers, who had previously produced the 1965 version and would go on to produce the 1989 version, and was filmed on location in pre-revolution Iran, one of very few Western productions to ever do so. The 1970s, for some reason, were a time to adapt certain Agatha Christie novels. Specifically, we had Murder on the Orient Express by Sidney Lumet. We also had Death on the Nile as well, came out in the 70s. So I guess another one would be this movie here, And Then There Were None. So we have a new audio commentary by scholar Dr. Mark Aldridge, archival interview with Elk Sommer in German with English subtitles, and a theatrical trailer, American video trailer, European cut pre-credit sequence, and that is it. Okay, not really much to go with there. Huh. Yeah. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for everything from oh yeah, hold on. I'm looking at some comments here before we move on to the next thing. What do I think of the movie Undertone? So Undertone is the movie that came out this year. So it's essentially Paranormal Activity, but instead of video, it's audio. That's the way I would pitch that movie to people. Yeah, I haven't seen any video that says, what did you think of the movie Undertone? After some explanation videos, I realized it was actually pretty deep. I thought the use of negative space in the framing and tension were rather effective. It's a tough thing to pull off. It's easier because movies are such a visual medium, it's easier to pull that off when it comes to horror. You know, Paranormal Activity, you have all of the night vision sequences of like the characters being pulled from the bed, or doors opening, or you hear sounds, creaks in the boards of the house and stuff like that. When it comes to audio, all you have is like audio clips on a computer. That's really tough to pull off tension just utilizing that. That's what impressed me most about that movie, is for them to do that. He also, Illuminated Pro also said, I tried watching Mystery Alaska, just awful. And then Illuminated Pro said, have you seen Man of the House with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Chevy Chase? That movie used to play on cable all the time in like the late 90s, early 2000s. That movie was always on, to the point where I saw it so many times that I never saw the need to ever own it, because I saw it so many times. It's interesting that you mentioned Jonathan Taylor Thomas, because he recently resurfaced, if you will. He and the mother, I forgot her name, the actress from Home Improvement, and the littlest brother, I forgot that actor's name as well. They reunited and took a photo together, and that was posted online. And I remember the whole Jonathan Taylor Thomas late 90s fandom, if you will. He was a rising star. He was super popular. He was so popular to the point where he basically left the sitcom Home Improvement to pursue bigger and better things in his career. But then he just kind of became disillusioned with acting. He became disillusioned with acting after a while. And he's not really acted in a lot of things over the last 20 years or so. I don't think he's acted in anything in like a decade, which is fine. I mean, Yeah, yeah, Illuminator Pro saw that pick as well. Yeah, I saw it recently, just, making the rounds on the, like Entertainment Weekly, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, all those trades that pop up on your news feed, when you're online and whatnot, depending on how your algorithm goes. My algorithm is all movies and television pretty much. So we've talked about Vinegar Syndrome, partner labels. We've talked about Imprint. Now let's go over to Umbrella because Umbrella only has two things, and one of them's a TV show. So not really a lot to go with here. So let's go over to their. Yeah, let me get rid of this. Uh, let's go over to their shop where the last two things that they announced were the Alejandro Jodorowsky collection, and then they also announced MPD Psycho. So this MPD Psycho, technically, we shouldn't be talking about it here on Chasing Labels because it's a TV miniseries. Uh, but it's all done by Takashi Miike, so I thought it was a little. We'll make a little exception to the rule here. I'll just go over it briefly about what it is. Adapted from the hit manga series and directed by genre master Takashi Miike, who of course has done Audition, Agitator, Ichi the Killer, you name it. Go on. MPD Psycho is a subversive Y2K fever nightmare. That makes sense. Uh, Yosuke Kabayashi, a detective assigned to a homicide unit, saw his wife killed by a serial killer. Shinji Nishizone, from a shock he suffered. Um, yeah, it says saw his wife killed by a serial killer. Shinji Nishizone, from a shock he suffered multiple personality disorder and became Kazuhiko Amamiya. After he managed to hunt down and kill the murderer of his wife, a new series of murders have occurred, and the suspects claim to be Shinji Nishizone himself. Is it really him or a copycat? Who is Kazuhiko Amamiya? Once violent, disturbing, surrealist, stylish, and comedic, the series is a must-see for J-horror and Miike fans. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning it, is because it's a Takashi Miike project. But we typically, yeah, it's six. It looks like, is it only 6 episodes? I think it's only 6 episodes. Um, yeah, and nothing much in the way of special features. It's just from page to screen interview with manga creator and writer AJ Otsuka. Reflections on Miike filmmakers Addison Heath and Jasmine Chakupi on the horror icon. Then you have episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, episode 6. It's on 2 discs. That's nice. They split up those in 2 discs. Came out in the year 2000. I'm so behind on a lot of Takashi Miike stuff. I've got to. I still need to get Audition. That's something I want to get from the current Arrow sale that's happening over on Barnes & Noble at barnesandnoble.com as well as in store. So now moving over to actual movies here, we've got the Alejandro Jodorowsky Collector's Edition. This is a large set here. If you don't know who Alejandro Jodorowsky is, I don't know if I can sum up his work or who he is. He is a man of mystery. Surrealism, provocation, insanity, tarot, magic, voodoo, hoodoo, yudu. He is a man of so many things, but step into the visionary universe of Alejandro Jodorowsky, filmmaker, mystic, provocateur, and one of cinema's great alchemists. This definitive collection gathers his most transformative works, a suite of films that shattered convention and redefined what the medium could be. From desert-blasted spiritual odysseys to psychedelic rites of passage, Jodorowsky crafts cinema as ritual, bold, symbolic, transgressive, and wholly unforgettable. His movies are indescribable. They're indescribable. I don't know how else to say that. This is a big, beautiful set. This set looks gorgeous. And in this set here, you've got Fando Elise, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, Tusk, Santa Sangre, The Rainbow Thief, The Dance of Reality, Endless Poetry, Psychomagic, A Healing Art, and Jodorowsky's Dune. Now, Jodorowsky's Dune is not directed by him, but it's a documentary about him and the failed making of process of him adapting Frank Herbert's Dune in the 1970s. His oh god, I don't even know how to say this. His thought process of how to adapt it is unreal. Unreal. Needless to say, it was not going to look anything like the actual book of Dune. It was going to be completely original. It was going to make Star Wars look like a Disney movie. The things he wanted to do in the adaptation of, I just happen to have the documentary here. The things he wanted to do to adapt Dune is completely insane. The cast he was going to have, the things he was going to do, truly ahead of its time. And this is covered in dust. I've had this on here for so long, but it's yeah, this documentary is excellent. It's wild, it's crazy. It gives you a glimpse of how much of a madman, an insane madman Alejandro Jodorowsky is. I happen to follow him on social media. It's absolutely insane. This was put out by Sony Pictures Classics a few years ago. This Blu-ray that I have here, and I've had it in my collection for well over a decade. I've had it, I think, since it came out. Oh goodness, 2013, 2014. When did this come out? Nice if they put it in a font that I could actually read. Let me actually look up Jodorowsky's Dune on IMDb really quickly, just because it's a documentary I constantly have thought about ever since I've seen it. I know Nicholas Winding Refn has a big presence in this documentary. I think it's produced by him. Let's see. That's not what I want to look up. I looked up Jodorowsky, not Jodorowsky's Dune. See, yeah, 2013 is when Jodorowsky's Dune came out, the documentary, and I've had this Blu-ray pretty much ever since, and yeah, it's just unbelievable. I actually brought it up because I've been wanting to rewatch it for several years now, and where do I have it? I have a Jodorowsky box set that was it was put out by Arrow in the UK, but here in the US, it was put out by a different company, but it's the exact same release. I'm just looking up at my box sets over on my shelves. I'm trying to see. I don't even know where I have it. Or else I pulled it off the shelf right now. Probably shouldn't do this in the middle of the show. But, whatever. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. But anywho, it's not the first time these movies essentially have seen the light of day on Blu-ray. Santa Sangre, I know, has a 4K release from Severin. I know because I haven't. I think I've talked about that movie and that release here on Chasing Labels before. I think I talked about it for a Unwatched Pile episode because I had it on my shelf for several years. And I was like, oh, it's about time to watch it. Let's see. What did I see? But let's see what we have here for special features before we get into anything else. So let's see. There's only available from the Umbrella web store and select retailers. The Alejandro Jodorowsky collector's edition includes a 100-page hardbound book, includes essays by Sabina Stent, Gary Lockman, Ben Cobb, Jim Morton, and more. We've had Sabina here on Chasing Labels many years ago. She's she's a doctor, actually. I believe she has a PhD. Let's see, 12-page booklet with film information for each release, custom die-cut rigid case, package designed by Time Tomorrow, limited edition, numbered release, description. We just go over all the movies. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm just curious here. Restorations personally overseen by Jodorowsky, the first collection of its kind, bringing together all of Jodorowsky's films in one set. I'm gonna go. Hold on. This is gonna drive me crazy. Let me go see if I can find my box set. Found it. It was kind of where I thought it was supposed to be. So I have my box sets in order in alphabetical order. So of course, Arrow is at the beginning because it starts with A. But this is a set I bought many, many years ago, and this is the essentially the Arrow box set of Alejandro Jodorowsky's films. It has Fan de Release, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, and Psycho Magic. So it doesn't have everything, but it's basically a good starter place for a lot of his early work. And then Psycho Magic being a more recent work when this box set came out. So I'm missing, so I have Santa Sangre. I just don't have more of his recent stuff like Endless Poetry, The Dance of Reality, The Rainbow Thief, um, and then yeah. Well, yeah, Psycho Magic is in here, but this is the box that I have. Yeah, I was just doing a little inventory of what I have versus what I need to get for Alejandro Jodorowsky. Let's see, what do we have here for extras? So Fanduy Lees has a new audio commentary with critics Kat Ellinger and Martin Conterio. Let's see, Fanduy Lees Disc 2 has that same audio commentary plus Which One of You is the Craziest One? Jodorowsky on the Panic Movement. The Constellation Jodorowsky documentary. New Saving Surrealism, Virginia Selevi on Alejandro Jodorowsky, La Cravate short film, and then we have disc 3, which has El Topo, the 4K disc, commentary with film scholar Josh Nelson, and then disc 4 is El Topo on Blu-ray. It has that audio commentary, and then has a new On Failure, Jodorowsky at the Locarno Film Festival from 2016. Let's see, The Profound, the Profane, and the Personal, filmmaker Andrew Levold on El Topo. New El Topo post-screening Q&A with Alejandro Jodorowsky. New He Viva Dada 1965 documentary. And then we got disc 5, which is the UHD disc for Holy Mountain. Audio commentary with writer Leon Marvell. Audio commentary with film writer and author Kat Ellinger. Then disc 6 is the Blu-ray of the Holy Mountain. Audio commentary, that same commentary with Kat Ellinger. Did I Want to Live Forever? Jodorowsky on the Holy Mountain. 1974 interview with Jodorowsky, Alejandro Jodorowsky, Grand Rector de l'Université de Philosophie documentary, and then discs. This is a massive set here. Wow. Tusk Blu-ray on Blu-ray, disc 7. New commentary by film analyst B.J. Colangelo, shooting the movie featurette Tusk, and Taro Jodorowsky in 1980. Jodorowsky's White Elephant filmmaker Andrew Levoyd on Tusk, interview with Jodorowsky and Filippo Royer. Jodorowsky premiere Tusk at Lestrange Film Festival 2024. Santa Sangre UHD disc for disc 8. That's got the audio commentary with Jodorowsky, moderated by journalist Alan Jones, and then audio commentary with writer Annie Rose Malamet. And then Santa Sangre BD disc 9. Audio commentary, those two audio commentaries, Forget Everything You Have Seen, The World of Santa Sangre. New Blood Jodorowsky on the restoration of Santa Sangre, deleted scenes with Jodorowsky commentary, Like a Phoenix 2021 interview with Claudio Argento. Holy Blood 2021 interview with Daniel Nanuzzi. Mexican Magic 2021 interview with Angelo Lacono. The Language of Editing, this is going on forever. Yeah, The Language of Editing 2021 interview with Mauro Bonanni. Renaissance and Horror 2021 interview with Roberto Leone. Santa Sangre 30th anniversary celebration of Morbido Festival. Goyo Gardens Spree Killer 2011 featurette. Jodorowsky 2003 interview. Onstage Q&A with Jodorowsky 2002. Hands and Bias, Alexander Helen Nicholas on Horror and Santa Sangre. That's not all. There's a whole other, The Rainbow Thief, Blu-ray disc 10. All special features, commentary. Omar Sharif on Jodorowsky. Omar Sharif has been deceased for many years. Oh my goodness. The Rainbow Thief, a British affair with writer and film historian David Michael Brown. Jodorowsky premieres The Rainbow Thief at Lestrange Festival of 2019. Interview with Jodorowsky and Filippo Royer. New Bibliothèque Ideals, a 2019 feature interview with Jodorowsky. Then The Dance of Reality, BD Disc 11. Guys, I can't go on. All right. There's another 3 movies here. This may be the release of the year. Just for sheer quantity of things. I had to stop reading because I'm I'm gonna pass out. So if you're used to hearing my voice read off these things, I apologize, but there's just 3 more movies left on here and just tons of features per disc. And then yeah, even Jodorowsky's Dune on the last disc 14 has new special features as well. This is one of the best releases of the year, just in sheer quantity of stuff. My goodness. Alejandro Jodorowsky Collector's Edition. This is the Jodorowsky collection to end all Jodorowsky collections. It pales in comparison to the old Arrow release, definitely. Yeah, although each movie here does have special features, you just get so much more in this set. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. But my goodness. So that is pretty much it for Umbrella. We have the Alejandro Jodorowsky Collector's Edition, and we have the MPD Psycho. MPD Psycho Collector's Edition as well. And you can pre-order these now from Umbrella if you want all of the store exclusive edition goodies and all that kind of stuff. We do have some other comments here before we move on. Let's see. Let's see what movies. What was the last film I saw in theaters, and what were your thoughts on the film and the theater? So recently yesterday I snuck out amidst my duties of watching movies or chasing labels. I saw, One Night Only, which is the new romantic comedy that's not very good, unfortunately. People are describing it as The Purge, but as a romantic comedy, and I kind of agree with that, but it's nowhere as interesting as it probably should have been, or as thought-provoking as it should have been. Unfortunately, it's too clean of a movie. Not clean, but like too easy of a movie, too easygoing of a movie. So basically it's a romantic comedy where 2 people are living in this, I guess, alternate version of New York or the United States where premarital sex is outlawed. Can't do it. You've got to be married, or you get arrested for having premarital sex, right? And except for 1 night a year where you're allowed to do it. 1 night a year. So there's the purge factor in there. It's the kind of like in The Purge where 1 night a year, all crime is legal, right? But in this movie, all sex is legal on this 1 night a year, right? And you would think that would lead to like crazy things going on, like madcap hedonism, because everybody's got all this pent up sexual energy and all this kind of stuff. The movie's not that. It's not that at all. Unfortunately, it doesn't explore any of that. It doesn't even really get into the political leanings of it all, because there's so much to go into when it comes to that, like the policing of people's lives, fascism, oppression. Like, would society revolt if the government was that involved in people's personal lives? Like, what would be those consequences? The movie doesn't really get into any of that, unfortunately. But the actors are good looking to watch on screen. Some of the romantic moments are cute and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's relatively fine. It has for a movie that has such an interesting premise, they don't do anything interesting with it. It's very cookie cutter, unfortunately. Before that, I saw Spider-Man: Brand New Day. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so people are going absolutely bananas over that movie. The movie's gonna make a $2.5 billion. It's gonna make so much money. People are just seeing it in droves, and I kind of understand that. As somebody who has been a big comic book hero fan since I was a little kid, who's grown up with the various movies and all this kind of stuff, Spider-Man is the most popular comic book character on the planet. It's not even close. It's not even close. So this is not surprising to me at all. Have I seen Let's see. Have you seen? I've seen Seinfeld and Frasier and Everybody Loves Raymond. I grew up during a time when all of those shows were new and on the air. I mean, I remember when Seinfeld had its final episode, and it was a big, big deal when Seinfeld had its final episode. I remember Frasier because I remember as a little kid I watched Cheers, and Frasier, of course, is a spin-off of Cheers. And Everybody Loves Raymond is the quintessential classic family sitcom of the 90s, kind of taking, taking a lot from the previous sitcoms of yesteryear as well. I mean, Everybody Loves Raymond shows on, still shows up on TV every single night on TV Land. You can watch it. I own all the seasons on DVD. That would be a show where I would love if they put out on Blu-ray, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. The sitcoms from the 90s are slowly starting to get more Blu-ray releases. Seinfeld, like you mentioned, has a Blu-ray and 4K release. Friends, Blu-ray and 4K release. Cheers, I think, didn't Cheers just get a Blu-ray release? I think it did, finally. I know Perfect Strangers just got a Blu-ray release as well. That's pretty awesome. So we're slowly starting to see 80s and 90s TV shows get Blu-ray releases at the very least. What movie or movies have you seen the most? Oh goodness, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I probably have watched those movies the most because I caught them when I was very, very young, and of course I've watched them periodically over the years. And it's my two most favorite franchises of all time. Is Lord of the Rings, then Star Wars. I've watched those movies so many times over and over and over again. To the point where I quote them in everyday life, much to the chagrin of the people around me. But let's move on to someplace else in terms of Umbrella. We are done with Umbrella. We've done Imprint. We've done Umbrella. Let's see. Yeah. I think I'm going to go take a look at my notes because I think I need to start pulling up some newer stuff. I do want to save Arrow for last, but I do have the Arrow releases already up and ready to go. Let's see. Of course, my show notes are all discombobulated. Let's see. We could go do Kino right now. I feel like Kino's the place to go. Yeah, let's go to Kino because we have Kino. Hammer's got a release, Film Treasures has a release, and MVD is putting out Missing in Action on 4K. Interesting. So let's go over to Kino. So I'll go over to the Kino Facebook page, just checking out. Let's see. Okay, so let me scroll down to where we left off from last time. Let's see, I think it's... Oh, there's Jesus, yeah. Oh, there's Bulletproof. I think that's where we're going to start with Bulletproof. Because that's what I have in my notes is Bulletproof. So, talk about blast from the past. So, Bulletproof came out in 1996. And it was something I remember watching either on VHS or DVD. Probably both, actually. I haven't seen this movie in over 20 years. So, the movie Bulletproof, starring Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler. This movie is directed by Ernest Dickerson. Yeah, directed by Ernest Dickerson. So, we got the 2-disc set here. We've got... let's see. We'll just go through the disc stuff and then I'll talk about the movie a little bit. So, brand new HDR Dolby Vision master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. There's a new audio commentary with our Ernest Dickerson, with entertainer, journalist / authors Brian Reisman and Max Every. And there's a new audio commentary with action film historian Mike Leader. And then on the second disc, you get the movie on Blu-ray plus all of those special features. And then a character that helps tell the story, interview with actor Xander Berkeley. And then there's deleted scenes as well. But the movie itself, I remember liking a lot more when I was younger. Unfortunately. So 2 of Hollywood's hottest comic actors have just become the wildest partners in partners in crime to ever hit the streets of LA. Damon Wayans, who was coming off of Major Pain. Major Pain, which just got a new Blu-ray release from Kino as well. And then Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler was coming off of like Billy Madison. Um, uh, and other stuff. Let me see. I remember looking this up the other day. Adam Sandler was really coming off of being on SNL. He was also coming off of Billy Madison. I'm trying to see if Happy Gilmore was before or after this. Let me see. So let's see. I got to scroll all the way back to the 1990s. Let's get back in the time machine. So this was, so Happy Gilmore was the same year. So he did Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, then Bulletproof. Then after that, he would do The Wedding Singer. He appeared in an uncredited part in Dirty Work. And then, of course, he would be on Waterboy, Big Daddy, and Little Nicky after that. So if you've been following Adam Sandler's career, you know where it goes. You know where it goes after that. What's interesting is that this is such an odd movie if you look at all of the movies within that time frame, because this isn't like a crime action buddy cop movie, if you will, for the 1990s. And that is so not what Adam Sandler is known for. That's not what he's known for at all. He is known for the comedies. That's how many of us growing up during that generation knew him from SNL, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, all of that stuff. So this movie kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Perhaps that's why it's not that good of a movie. Also, this movie reminds me a lot of Midnight Run. But it's nowhere near as good as Midnight Run. Not even close. Not even close. It's interesting. Illuminated Pro mentions this, been loving Adam Sandler flicks lately. Yeah, so his movies have been getting really nice 4K re-releases. I just mentioned Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore have gotten two great 4K releases from Kino. They look fantastic, certainly better than what I had, which were the old DVDs of those movies. So they look great. I would love to see The Wedding Singer get some love as well. I know Little Nicky has gotten a Blu-ray release from, I think, Shout Factory. Shout Factory has put that out. I would love to see Big Daddy get some love. Punch Drunk Love, of course, has gotten a Criterion Blu-ray, plus I think a Criterion 4K as well. So that's gotten some love recently for Adam Sandler. Yeah, there's a lot in there. But this movie, Bulletproof, is interesting. Like I said, it's kind of him stepping out of that comfort zone, even for both of these actors, really. Damon Wayans, similarly, coming from the comedy background. He's from the Wayans family. Were doing In Living Color. That's where that was coming from, and he was like breaking out from there and doing his own movies. But he was doing like comedies like Major Pain. This movie, like I said, is not those types of movies. But let's see, two of Hollywood's hottest, like I said, Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler, star in the hilarious saga of a cop, a crook, and a beautiful friendship gone sour. Once inseparable pals, Archie Moses and Rock Keats find themselves on opposite sides of the law, each feeling betrayed by the other. In fact, the only person who hates them more than they hate each other is ruthless drug kingpin Frank Colton, screen legend James Caan, who wants to put them both 6 feet under. And that's not really the case in the movie, but whatever. Now through a strange twist of fate, Moses and Keats are on the run together. With a little Gluck, the bungling boys just might get out of this one alive if they don't kill each other first. So basically what happens is like, this kind of spoilerish. I don't want to spoil the movie, but they're best friends, and then one betrays the other, and then circumstances change dramatically with their relationship, and now they're basically on the run from people. That's me saying it without saying anything, giving any of the plot away. Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler have great on-screen chemistry together. To me, it's just that the story doesn't really hold up as much as it did, let's say, 20 years ago when I first watched it. It also has a lot of 90s isms when it comes to comedy. certain jokes that you could get away with back in the 90s, you can't get away with now. The 90s comedy relied a lot on derogatory humor um, to like how do I say this? Derogatory humor towards groups of people who were already beat up in society. You know what I mean? Kind of low hanging fruit type stuff. Gay jokes, fat jokes, all this kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like that was 90s humor. If you grew up in the 90s, that's there was so much of that. It was just people picking on my, you know, um, groups that were already beaten up in society in general. So there's a lot of that in here as well. So it's not going to age well for a lot of people. I kind of understand that. Um, let's see. I already went over the special features, but that's Bulletproof basically. It's a little blast from the past for me. And then we've got completely switching things up. Jesus Christ Superstar. This is the adaptation of I believe, the Broadway musical. This thing is loaded with special features. Goodness gracious. Jesus Christ Superstar, the bold interpretation of the hit rock opera and Broadway smash from Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber tells the story of Christ's final weeks told through a series of dazzling songs, images, and music. Nominated for the Best Music Adaptation Academy Award, producer-director Norman Jewison, who did In the Heat of the Night and Fiddler on the Roof, creates a brilliant example of groundbreaking vision and unforgettable songs shot entirely on location in Israel. Times have changed. But like I said, 2-disc edition here, loaded with features. Brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. 2026 audio mix by musician and engineer Brian Kehoe. Mixture of classic albums by Sly Stone, Black Sabbath, Aretha Franklin, yes, Fleetwood Mac, Talking Heads, Madonna, and the soundtrack for Woodstock. Okay. I didn't think we needed all of his credits there, but sure, why not? Audio commentary by director Norman Jewison and actor Ted Neely. New commentary by film historian and screenwriter Gary Gerani. New commentary by film critic and author Simon Abrams. Newly mixed 5.1, lossless 2.0 stereo, and original lossless 2.0 stereo as well. Triple layered UHD 100 gigabyte disc, so it's gonna look great. And the second disc has all of that stuff, plus an interview with lyricist Tim Rice, theatrical trailer, and that is about it. So that is Jesus Christ Superstar getting a 4K UHD release. If you like movie musicals, there you go. There's your Jesus Christ Superstar. I think all the contents for the Dark Side of Cinema Volume 28 we've talked about before. And then we have Desperately Seeking Susan. This is a release I'm really glad it's coming out. So Desperately Seeking Susan, starring Rosanna Arquette, Madonna, Aidan Quinn, Will Patton, John Turturro, Stephen Wright, Giancarlo Esposito, so many others. It's written, let's see, who directed this? Oh, Susan Seidelman. Yes, Susan Seidelman directed this. That's why this is important. I think I have it on DVD. I think I have an old DVD, a used DVD of this that I picked up when one of my local stores was closing. But yeah, this is definitely worth a watch. This is great. Check it out. Check out Susan Seidelman's work in general. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Let's see. That's Brit Noir Collection 4, which I think we've talked about in the past. Yeah, we talked about this in the past, these movies. Catch a Fire. Here we go. So Catch a Fire is something I did want to talk about. So recently, I saw that I saw a random, I think I was scrolling either on TikTok or Instagram Reels or somewhere, and Tim Robbins was doing an interview, or he was talking about his career, whatnot. That's why you have him on those shows. And he was talking about the movies he did after Mystic River. Mystic River is a movie where I believe he won an Oscar for. And after that, he was bemoaning that people don't talk about his movies that he did right after Mystic River. And he said that it is some of his best work. And he specifically mentioned this movie, Catch a Fire. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then literally a couple of days later, Kino announces they're putting it on Blu-ray. So I was like, oh, what good timing. It gives me an opportunity to watch it. So Catch a Fire, this is a movie directed by Philip Noyce, director of Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Bone Collector. Comes in action-packed is a little But that's I wouldn't use those terms. Journey of sabotage, corruption, alienation, and murder. Tim Robbins and Derek Luke give first-rate performances in the suspense thriller based on the true story of Patrick Chamusu, a young apolitical man accused of terrorism in 1980 South Africa. Set against a country torn by apartheid and two cultures at war, Catch a Fire is the gripping account of the spark that ignited a man, inspired a revolution, and united a country. Yes, all of that is true. So put yourself back in 1980 South Africa. The country is under the apartheid government, which is incredibly oppressive and segregated, and we know a lot of these things. I mean, well, at least we should know a lot of these things, right? It wouldn't be until much later on that, due to international pressure, that the apartheid government was disbanded and dissolved, and then a new, more democratically elected government was put in its place. That's when Nelson Mandela took over and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But back in 1980, there were, of course, political uprisings happening, political movements happening to fight against the apartheid government. And this man, who was kind of an ordinary guy, he was not political at all, Patrick Chamuso. He was just a factory worker, just living. He had a family. He had no political ties whatsoever. A terrorist attack happens, and the local authorities somehow believe that he is involved in it, and he was just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he wouldn't initially give his alibi as to where he was during the attack, because he was actually cheating on his wife during the attack, and he did not want to express that because he was ashamed of it. But I mean, if they are politically torturing you, I can say anything, say anything at some point. But that's neither here nor there. They thought that he was involved in it, and they tortured him brutally, abused him, threatened him, all of the above, right? All of the above, and ultimately they decided that he wasn't involved in it, right? He wasn't involved. They let him go, but of course, due to their actions, the political fever is now ignited within him. He is now an activist, an anti-apartheid activist. That's the most interesting part I find in the movie, is that we've seen that happen in the real world, where there are people who are not involved in things and get accused of being involved in things, and then it's because of the actions of others who are misidentifying people, or who have bad intel, or who are just prejudiced, or who are just having power trips in general. They then turn those people to the cause that they accuse them of being part of in the first place. So this movie is incredibly well acted by Tim Robbins and Derek Luke, and I think it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. I think the information that the movie is depicting would be more interesting in a documentary than in a narrative film. But either way, if anything, it will ignite you into learning more about the context of the conflict and the context of the time in which the movie is set. So for special features, we have an audio commentary with the director Philip Noyce and writer Sean Slavo, and actors Tim Robbins, Derek Luke, Bonnie Henna, Robin Slavo, and Patrick Chamuso. Deleted scenes, and then that's it. Coming out in September. After this, we've got the movie, completely switching gears here entirely, The Caveman's Valentine, starring the one and only Samuel L. Jackson. So, Samuel L. Jackson is in the spine-tingling and visually stunning thriller. Samuel L. Jackson, who has been in many movies. Here they credited him as being in Pulp Fiction and Changing Lanes. Kind of an underrated movie, Changing Lanes is, but of course he's been in so many things. Oh my goodness. Delivers one of the most powerful performances as Romulus Ledbetter, a misunderstood musician turned recluse, hiding from personal demons in a New York City cave. When Romulus finds the frozen body of a young drifter in a tree, the authorities, including his police officer daughter, claim the death is accidental. Romulus is convinced the man was murdered by prominent art photographer David Leppenrob. But how can he prove he's right when everyone thinks he's insane? Directed by Casey Lemons, who directed Eve's Bayou. Eve's Bayou is a great movie, also starring Samuel L. Jackson. So what a connection there. Journey Smollett is in that movie as well. Casey Lemons is a good director, really good director. Check out Eve's Bayou if you haven't already. That movie was stuck on DVD for many, many years and finally got a Blu-ray release through Criterion. And I was so happy when that was announced. Casey Lemons is also an actress. She was in Silence of the Lambs, if I recall. Yes, she was in Silence of the Lambs. So let's see. Casey Lemons, and from Edgar award-winning novel, The Caveman's Valentine is an ingenious thriller. Hails the San Francisco Examiner. Samuel L. Jackson is nothing short of astonishing. He is very good in the movie. The movie really relies around his character and his perspective and him going on this detective journey, essentially. And then you get reasons as to why he is the way he is. He's essentially a homeless paranoid schizophrenic living in a cave in a park. And he kind of goes down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out who killed this person that just showed up near his home and why they were placed there and all of that stuff. But he was also a genius musician who became a recluse as well. That's the movie, the Caveman's Valentine. Coming out September 29th. Then we have the movie Roller Coasters. This was just announced earlier. So coming out September 29th as well, it's the movie Roller Coaster from 1977. I figured I would just include this here while we're here. Might as well. It's not really in my notes. But since it was included several hours ago, why not? Thrills abound in this high-speed suspense yarn as Timothy Bottoms, a determined terrorist, begins to turn America's amusement parks into his own battlefields. The tension mounts as affable safety inspector George Siegel attempts to track down the saboteur who has targeted the country's most popular roller coaster and its riders for senseless destruction. The edge-of-the-seat excitement mounts as the battle of wits between Siegel and Bottoms builds to an explosive climax. Co-starring screen legends Richard Widmark and Henry Fonda, as this thrilling production takes viewers on an unforgettable trip filled with sense-shattering twists and hairpin turns, featuring a rousing score by the great Lalo Schifrin, with top-notch directing by James Goldstone. That's it. I actually haven't seen the movie, but it's getting a 4K UHD release, and I love all the actors that are in it, so I'm probably going to check this movie out. But that is it for Kino. That is it from Kino. A couple of their September releases. Some pretty good stuff here. So now I think, we have Hammer and then Film Treasures. And then we can go to our grand finale with Arrow Video. Because I think that's about it. So we've got, let's see, Hammer release is called Incense for the Damned. Well, that's a great title. Let me check that out. I have to go over to Blu-ray.com. Hopefully they've got a page for it up already, or else it's going to make things very difficult for me. So Incense for the Damned. Here we go. Also called Bloodsuckers. Yes, I've seen this movie before. I've seen it. Yeah, I saw it a while ago. I don't remember liking it at all, actually. I think I gave it a really low rating on Letterboxd. Let's see, because I think Severin put it out like 3 years ago. That's why I probably watched it, because Severin put it out. So Hammer is preparing a Blu-ray release of Robert Hartford Davis's Incense for the Damned, also known as Bloodsuckers, from 1971, starring Patrick Macnee, Peter Cushing, Edward Woodward, and Alexander Davian. The release is scheduled to arrive on the market on November 18th. Let's see. If you think you've seen everything British horror had to offer, you haven't seen this. A mysterious collapse, the starting point for one of British horror's most sexually charged and transgressive vampire films. Not all vampires wear capes. Some disappear to Mykonos and never come back the same. Incense for the Damned follows Patrick Maurer as Richard Fountain, an academic runaway who disappears into obsession on a sun-drenched research trip to Mykonos. It's a psychedelic mod horror that doesn't blur the line between the supernatural and the erotic. It weaponizes it, exploring addiction, desire, and moral collapse in ways mainstream horror rarely dared. I honestly don't remember this movie at all. All I remember is I know I've seen it, and I know I gave it a low rating on Letterboxd. But this release has a new restoration of the film, 3 versions of the movie: UK theatrical version, UK uncut, as Incense for the Damned, and then the US theatrical cut known as Bloodsuckers. Now we have two 2026 commentaries with Lauren Barnett, John Hamilton, Jonathan Rigby, and Kevin Lyons. New program on Simon Raven, writer of the book on which the film was based. New program on the making of Incense for the Damned, and then optional English subtitles for the main feature. And then it says "and more." I don't know what the "and more" is, but here you go. And then we've got the where are you? Then we got the Film Treasures movie called Feed. I wonder what that's going to be about. Seems a little self-explanatory, but we'll find it. Let's see. That could be it, but that is not it. Let me go. Hold on. I'm going to have to go to, what's their name? Film Treasures website, which I have to remember what it's actually called. Oh, filmtreasures.co.uk. Let me see if they actually have that release on there. They make you. Let's see. Are you on here? Hold on. I'm checking over on the other feed, just to make sure that it's actually on here. If it's not actually on here, then we'll move on to the Arrow releases, just because I have nothing to say. But it's taking forever to load. Let's see, let's see. Let's see. Big Daddy, I'm just looking at some comments. Big Daddy has a Blu-ray, I think. It does. It does. I've had it. It's been around for a long time. JB44 has checked into the chat. Andrew, would you go to Mars to watch a movie? Depending on the movie. That really would depend on the movie. Would it be a movie that I could only see on Mars? Like, that's the only place in the universe it was screening? Oh, if it's... When I said, like, depending on the movie, if it's the lost cut or the lost footage of Magnificent Ambersons, the Orson Welles movie, and they were only showing it on Mars, would I go? Probably yes. Probably yes. And Illuminated Pro says, what's next? Rollerball remake on 4K? I mean, I thought they already did. Oh, no, the Rollerball remake? No, I don't think they've done it. They've done a Blu-ray of the Rollerball remake, which is terrible. And I think they've done a 4K of the original Rollerball from the 70s, which is good. Which is with James Caan. That's really, really good. Let's see. Did it? Let's see. Huh. It's not even up on there. Okay, so we'll skip it. I was going to show it, but I can't find it. So I'm on their website. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let me I'll go over quickly here. So it's filmtreasures.co.uk. Film Treasures. Yeah, filmtreasures.co.uk. If I go, I have to search for feed. I don't know why this is for a movie I've actually not even seen. So there it is. There it is. Let me get back to StreamYard. There it is. Let me check. Yeah, let me just read what this says here. Let's see. Intensely grotesque and shocking as hell. Feed is a heavyweight thrill ride through the depths of depravity. Oh boy. A veteran of investigations, this Australian cop Philip Jackson is no stranger to the dangerous side of sexual fetishes. He may have found his sickest case yet when he discovers a sinister side to an American website devoted to fat admiring men and obese women called feeders and gainers. Oh, okay. That's why that's the title of this movie. Could the man behind it be for? Yeah, okay. So there could be some type of abuse going on. Director of The Lawnmower Man and Virtuosity and the Man Thing takes the crime thriller genre to a twisted, gut-wrenching new level and comes stacked with extra features in the most treasured special edition. In this Much Treasure special edition. Okay. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. That is fascinating that they would be putting this out. Yeah, tons of special features here. It's a high definition Blu-ray. There's a bonus US cut of the film, audio commentary with the director. Yeah, there's an extra feature here about body horror. New from Wolf Creek to Fury Road, a detour through the outbacks of modern exploitation. Oh, deleted scenes, alternate ending, final day interview with the director Brett Leonard, additional deleted and extended scenes, outtakes, interviews, all kinds of stuff on here. Wow. It's a pretty loaded release for a movie I've never heard of, nor do I think we'll ever see. But I just had to point out that Film Treasures is putting this out. Film Treasures, the guys who run Film Treasures were gracious enough to come here on Chasing Labels a few years ago and talk about them just around when they were getting started. So I always want to, give back to the community that has helped us so much here on Chasing Labels. So that is that. Now we can move over to Arrow. All right, so Arrow has their October releases, and this is riddled with ads all over the screen. I'm just going to refresh this page here just to see if I can get rid of some of these ads. Here we are. So we've got some good ones that are coming. So just run these down, and then we'll get into them individually here. I got to see everything except for the Ghost Story Trilogy box set that they're putting out. Everything else I did get to see, including all the movies in Enter the Video Store, Video Vengeance. Those movies are not good. Good gracious, they're not good. Like, I have the first box set, and I'm very tempted not to buy the second one, but my OCD as a collector makes me want to have to get the second one. Do you know what that feels like? But let's see. We've got they are The Last Boy Scout, Futureworld, The Frighteners, The Monster Squad, Cujo, a Chinese Ghost Story Trilogy, 1987 to 1991, and Enter the Video Store, Video Vengeance, 1987 to 1993. Now, I do want to say that our friend, I want to mention, because I didn't do it last time we did Arrow releases, our friend Scott Saslow, who's been on here many times. I did a whole interview with him a couple of months ago about all the stuff that he's worked on. He did a couple of these releases. He worked on a couple of them. He worked on the layout and booklet design and title treatments and for the Enter the Video Store for that. He also did the layout and booklet design for The Last Boy Scout for this here. And then he also did, the layout and booklet design for the Ghost Story Trilogy, and then the layout and booklet design for the Frighteners. And then he also did the layout, and this is stuff from before, where he did it for A Better Tomorrow. He did the layout and booklet design for that. He did the layout and booklet design for Larry Flint, which I actually just got. I just got this from the Barnes & Noble Arrow sale that's going on. Super excited to get into this. I've seen this movie, goodness, forever ago, because I have the old Warner Brothers Blu-ray that's been around since like the late 2000s, but this looks like it's going to be so much better in terms of just picture quality, and there's tons of features on here. Absolutely tons of features. So I wanted to make sure to give Scott Saslow a shout out. Of course, he worked on Misery. He worked on the Troy as well. But let's move on to the things we got here. The Last Boy Scout. The Last Boy Scout has been much wanted on home media, or at least a re-release has been wanted for so long. Not recently, but historically, I think it's only had a Blu-ray release through a double feature. Yeah, a double feature along with another movie. Let me find it. Oh yeah, there it is. So you can only really ever get The Last Boy Scout in a Warner Brothers action double feature along with Last Man Standing, which is the Bruce Willis film from the 90s, which is a remake of Yojimbo. And it's fascinating how you've only been able to get it through there. And then there was a triple feature release of The Last Boy Scout where you could get The Last Boy Scout. It was The Last Boy Scout, The Last Man Standing, and 16 Blocks. So there was a Warner Brothers triple feature where that's how you could get um The Last Boy Scout, but you could not get The Last Boy Scout by itself. At least here in the US, you could not get it by itself. So now not only can you get it by yourself, but you're getting it in 4K from Arrow with special features. Yeah, that finally. So, The Last Boy Scout 4K UHD from the star of Die Hard and director of Top Gun, Tony Scott, writer of Lethal Weapon and the producer of 48 Hours, comes The Last Boy Scout, an era-defining explosion of cynical wit and extreme violence. Joe Hallenbeck, Bruce Willis, is a burned-out PI who hates the world and seemingly everything in it. Jimmy Dix, Damon Wayans, is a former all-star quarterback busted out of the game on gambling charges. When Jimmy's girlfriend, Corey, portrayed by Halle Berry, is brutally murdered despite hiring Joe to protect her, both men become embroiled in a mystery that will lead them deep into a shady world of politics, blackmail, sports gambling on their quest to discover who killed Corey and why. Maybe find a little redemption for themselves along the way. This is directed by the late great Tony Scott. It's a really cool, sleek action film from the 90s, starring Bruce Willis, who was the man of that era, really. Since Die Hard on, he was really the man of 80s and 90s action films. And yeah, this one is, like I said, it's been much coveted by itself for many, many years on physical media. We have a new 4K restoration from the original 35mm camera negative by Arrow Films, approved by director of photography Ward Russell, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the movie. You've got the original stereo audio plus the DTS HD Master 5.1 track and a new Dolby Atmos audio option. So you've got them all. You got the original, got a DTS 5.1, and a new Dolby Atmos audio track as well. You have, of course, English subtitles for those who need it. Brand new audio commentary from film critics Josh Nelson, and Martin Pedler, and then some. A newly filmed interview with screenwriter Shane Black. The Daughter of the Last Boy Scout, a newly filmed interview with actress Danielle Harris. The Art of Tony Scott, a newly filmed appreciation by film historian Stefan Moisakis, editor of Tony Scott, The Style and the Substance. Shane Black at the American Cinematheque, an onstage interview from Beyond Fest from 2025, which was just last year, in which the celebrated screenwriter discusses his career with film historian Jim Hemphill. Extended and alternate scenes, a selection of scenes from a pre-release work print version of the film, theatrical trailer, image galleries, original screenplay. Wow, that's kind of cool. Reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Sam Hadley. Collector's booklet containing new writing on the film by critics Jedediah Ayres, Alexandra Hallow Nicholas, Justin La Liberty from over at the OCN partner label titles at Vinegar Syndrome, Andrew Mail, and Priscilla Page. This is a nice release. Yeah, this is going to be a hot release come October. People are going to be scooping this bad boy up. You can also get it on Blu-ray if you don't partake in 4K releases. It's got all the same special features. And then you have Futureworld, which is the sequel to Westworld. Okay. So I've got the Arrow release of Westworld. This is, of course, this came out, when did this come out? Last year? Yeah. Last year, this year, who knows? This is the movie that is based on the work, and it's written and directed by Michael Crichton. This was originally produced by MGM. I'm talking Westworld. The sequel, Futureworld, none of those attachments to it. Michael Crichton didn't want anything to do with it. MGM dropped it when the movie was just at the conceptual stage, and it was picked up by AIP, American International Pictures, and the movie is rather different than Westworld. I thought it was going to be more of the same, and it's not. And that's both a good and bad thing. I mean, I kind of don't like when sequels just do the same thing as the original, except with a few little changes here and there. But also, what it did isn't actually interesting. Unfortunately, Futureworld is not great. Following the success of Westworld, and then Westworld was a massive success. Director Richard T. Heffron expanded Michael Crichton's techno nightmare with Futureworld, a sleek, conspiracy-laced slice of 1970s science fiction that trades frontier thrills for post-Watergate paranoia in the age of automation. Yes. When reporters Chuck Browning, Peter Fonda, and Tracy Ballard, Blythe Danner, are invited to inspect the newly reopened Delos Resort. So, after the events of Westworld, um, for those of you who've seen Westworld, you know what happens. Just 2 years later, not only are they reopening the parks, there's now many parks. There's many different parks you can explore, right? So not only it's bigger and better than before. Forget about all that stuff that happened 2 years ago and all that kind of stuff. We want you all now to come and check it out. Check it out and tell your friends how great it is. We're even going to let the press in. We've got Peter Fonda. We've got Blythe Danner. One is a reporter. One is like a newscast lady. They come on down. You're the next contestant on Westworld. Right. So the company Delos bringing them all in, and just to check out all the cool stuff. Right. They find a futuristic paradise promising safe, sanitized entertainment, but beneath the polished surface, troubling inconsistencies begin to emerge. As the suspicion turns to terror, the pair uncover a sinister conspiracy with consequences far beyond the park itself. You say things are too good to be true, and there's more sinister things going on underneath the sheen of the park. Stylish, suspenseful, and packed with the all-star turns. It says including the return of Yul Brynner's implacable gunslinger. He is in one scene. Yul Brynner is in one scene as the Man in Black, and it is a dream sequence that a woman is having about him. A romantic dream sequence. That is it. Don't watch this movie if you're a Yul Brynner completist. Do not do it. You need to do it, but it's not what you think it is. The movie's interesting. It's interesting conceptually, but I found it so boring. Nothing really happens of any real interest until perhaps the third act. Everything else is like a 1970s political conspiracy theory type of movie in a post-Watergate world. So they got that right, but it's not. It didn't really play well for entertainment factor, I will say. But this release here has a Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the movie, original restored lossless mono audio, optional English subtitles for those who need it, brand new audio commentary by filmmaker and film historian Daniel Kramer, future present, a brand new video interview with producer Paul N. Lazarus III, NASA Science Fact and Fiction, a 1976 behind-the-scenes short film chronicling filming at the Johnson Space Center, presented in high definition for the first time on home video, theatrical trailer, TV and radio spots, image gallery, reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Jeff Marshall, collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by David Michael Brown, Barry Forshaw, and James Rose. You can get it on Blu-ray as well. And then we have The Frighteners. Now, The Frighteners is the Peter Jackson movie starring Michael J. Fox. It's the movie I believe he did right before he did Lord of the Rings. So it's this how do I say this? It's this horror comedy. It's a horror comedy ghost story. Before The Lord of the Rings made him a household name, Peter Jackson delivered The Frighteners, a wildly inventive blend of supernatural horror and dark comedy produced by Robert Zemeckis. It cemented Jackson's reputation as one of the most imaginative filmmakers of his generation. Michael J. Fox stars as Frank Bannister, a small-town psychic who uses his ghostly friends to con unsuspecting locals until a series of mysterious deaths point to a far darker force racing to uncover the truth. Frank realizes he's the only person capable of stopping a malevolent spirit from claiming more victims, even if it means facing his own haunted past. I haven't seen it in many, many years. So I'm a little fuzzy on all the details of the movie and all that kind of stuff, but I remember having a lot of fun with it. It's a favorite amongst many people, horror fans and people fans of Ghost Story. I know people watch it every Halloween or every October. I got to give it a rewatch. Actually, it's been re-released on Blu-ray. And I think a 4K already of this exists, so it's been around. It's not like it's been neglected on home media at all. But we have let's see. Disc 1 is the 4K Blu-ray release of the theatrical and director's cuts. Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. Let's see, there's a 4K restoration from the original camera negative. There's a collector's booklet featuring Peter Jackson's 1998 introduction to the Laserdisc release. That's cool. Original production notes and 2 1996 articles from the American cinematographer. So let's see, original lossless theatrical mix and 5.1 DTS HD master audio of the theatrical cut only and the original lossless 2.0 stereo for both cuts, plus the DTS HD master 5.1 home video mix for both cuts. Optional Dolby Atmos remix for the director's cut only. You have subtitles for everything, including the bonus materials. Audio commentary by co-writer / producer / director Peter Jackson on the director's cut only. Peter Jackson's 10th anniversary introduction to the film. Disc 2 is just a Blu-ray release of both cuts of the movie. And then Disc 3 has more extras. Disc 3 has No Way to Make a Living, a look back at the Frighteners, a feature-length documentary produced in 2022 featuring new interviews with actors D. Wallace Stone and Jake Busey, cinematographer John Blick, production designer Grant Major, creature and miniature effects supervisor Richard Taylor, visual effects supervisor Wes Takahashi, and producer / editor Jamie Selkirk. The Making of the Frighteners, an exhaustive 225-minute documentary exploring every aspect of the film. So this is like a precursor to what Peter Jackson would do with the Lord of the Rings appendices special features on the DVDs that have since been the benchmark for special features for a home media release, in my opinion. It's the most in-depth special features package that they've ever made. So it looks like he was doing that for the Frighteners here as well. And then there's a conversation with Richard Taylor and Alexander Ponset, a 2022 interview with the man behind the film's creature and miniature effects. So there's a Blu-ray release of this as well. But damn, that's a lot. And then we have the Monster Squad. Speaking of horror, speaking of beloved horror, we have the Monster Squad. This is the 1980s cult classic. This movie's been released on Blu-ray twice. It's been released on 4K from Kino. I think it's been released on Blu-ray from Kino as well. And it's a beloved, Halloween classic, if you will. 100 years ago, Dr. Abraham Van Helsing and a small man, a freedom fighter, stormed Count Dracula's castle with a plan to rid the world of evil forever. They blew it. 100 years later, Dracula is back, and with a werewolf and a mummy, Gilman, and even Frankenstein's creature all in tow. It's now a group of horror-loving kids are about to discover that all the comics, books, and movies they adore were more than just escapism or the trash that parents and teachers dismiss them as. They were training. An all-out monster mash that wears its love of classic creature features on its sleeve, even as it kicks the creakier tropes and conventions squarely in the nards. This is a great movie to watch for Halloween time. It really, really is. I think this is also written by Shane Black as well. But anywho, Disc 1, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the Monster Squad. You've got the original lossless stereo and DTS HD Master 5.1 surround audio. Audio commentary with writer-director Fred Decker and squad members Andre Gower, Ryan Lambert, and Ashley Bank. Audio commentary with writer-director Fred Decker and director of photography Bradford Magus. Maybe Shane Black wasn't involved in this. I probably was wrong on that. Monster Squad Forever, a feature-length 2007 documentary on the making of the film. Archival featurettes with the special effects team, featuring interviews with John Rosengrant, Steve Wang, Alec Gillis, Shane Mahan, Lindsay McGowan, and Tom Woodruff Jr., archival interview with composer Bruce Broughton, a conversation with Frankenstein, a vintage 1986 featurette, deleted scenes, animation storyboard sequences, trailers and TV spots. Disc 2, Wolfman's Got Nars, that is the documentary. So, high definition presentation of Wolfman's Got Nars, a 2018 feature length documentary co written and directed by Monster Squad star Andre Gower. And let's see, In the Goddamn Club, more with the fans of Monster Squad, Bloodbath music video, deleted scenes, extended interviews, archival interviews, podcast audio interviews with actors Ashley Bank, Tom Noonan, Carl Tybalt, and Michael Reed McKay. I'm starting to fade fast. You can get it on Blu-ray as well. Like I said, many of you probably have it in your collection already. I don't, unfortunately, and there's been so many releases of it. Like I said, there's been 2 releases on Blu-ray before the Kino release. So there's the Monster Squad. Let's see. The original release was in 2009. And then there was a release in 2013. And then there was the release in 2023. That's the one that was done by Kino. It was 2023. That's the one probably many of you have as well. Let's see what we got next. I think Cujo is next. Cujo's another movie which has been released several times already on home video. I mean, just on Blu-ray. So Cujo got a release back in 2009, got a re-release for its 40th anniversary in 2023, and in 2013 it got a release as well, and it got a 4K release. Looks like from Kino, from Kino back 3 years ago. So this is once again a release of a movie that's already gotten several releases in the past. But this is the adaptation of the Stephen King novel. I'm sure many of you know it. It's this dog that has rabies that attacks this family. I've seen the movie, and the whole time I was rooting for the dog. I thought he was a victim of circumstance. He was a victim of circumstance. He didn't want to get rabies. It just happened that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know if I was supposed to feel that way or not, but I know I did. But I haven't read the novel yet. It's on my to-read list for Stephen King work. I'm slowly making my way through every Stephen King novel. I've read well over 20 of them at least by now, and I'm taking a little break right now, reading something else, and then I'm going to be reading some Hemingway, and I'm going to be reading Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove, and then I'll probably get back to Stephen King. So I'm taking a little divergent path into some other reading ventures, and then moving back to Stephen King later on. But Cujo is a famous adaptation of that Stephen King work. There were so many Stephen King adaptations done in the 1980s and into the 1990s. This is one of the most notable ones. It's apparently one of King's favorite adaptations of his own work. I know Dee Wallace is in the film. Dee Wallace was famously the mother in E.T. And yeah, let's get into the special features, because I'm pretty sure many of you know the movie already. For the theatrical cut, which is on the first 4K disc here, or the only 4K disc here, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the theatrical cut. We have an audio commentary with director Louis Teague. We have an audio commentary with director Louis Teague and Jeff McKay. We have a third audio commentary with film historian Lee Gambin, author of Nope, Nothing Wrong Here, The Making of Cujo. Cujo Revisited, a roundtable discussion with Dee Wallace, Danny Pintoro, Daniel Hugh Kelly, and director Louis Teague. Dog Days, The Making of Cujo, an archival documentary on the film's production. 2019 interviews with actress Dee Wallace, composer Charles Bernstein, stuntman Gary Morgan, stuntwoman Jean Louise Coulter, casting director Marsha Ross, visual effects artist Kathy Lawrence, special effects designer Robert Clark, and dog trainer Teresa Miller. Theatrical trailers, TV spots, and radio spots. And then for disc 2, it's the Blu-ray of the international cut. And there's an interview with critic and author Kim Newman on Cujo, Q&A with Dee Wallace from Cinemaniacs, and Monster Fest from 2015. And then There's a collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Jamie Graham and Cat Hughes, reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Jeff Marshall. So that is it for Cujo, but I'm pretty sure many of you probably have it in your collection already, but if you don't, this sounds like it's got a lot of good stuff in it. Certainly enough commentaries to last you. Of course, I think it's going to hopefully look good in 4K. Yeah. I don't know if if it'll look the same as the Kino version, sorry. But perhaps it might. So the Chinese ghost story, I have not seen any of these movies, but instead I will I guess I'll just read this off here. So I don't have anything to say about the movies. Let's see. Seeking to revitalize the ailing Chinese fantasy genre, legendary producer Sui Hark assembled the crack team of A Better Tomorrow 2 action director Ching Su Tong, Peking Opera Blues script writer Wen Kei Che, and superstars Leslie Chong, Joey Wong, and Wu Ma for the action comedy classic A Chinese Ghost Story. The film conquered the 1987 Hong Kong box office, begot 2 sequels, and cemented Sui's reputation as Hong Kong's most respected producer. Yeah, there's a whole description here that is like a paragraph long. The Chinese story trilogy represents the height of Hong Kong cinema's inventiveness, deploying an array of spectacular special effects, jaw-dropping fight choreography, and luscious cinematography to deliver its singular blend of otherworldly scares, thrilling action, and poignant love story. Let's see. For special features and technical specs, we have Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the 3 films. You get the original Cantonese mono audio. There's English subtitles, of course, reversible sleeves featuring original and newly commissioned artwork for each film. That's pretty cool. Double-sided fold-out poster, collector's booklet featuring new writing on the films by critics and Hong Kong cinema experts Victor Fan, Frank Zhang, David West, and Professor Jamie Zhao. For a ghost story, a Chinese ghost story, sorry. You got a brand new audio commentary with Asian cinema expert James Mudge, A Ghost of a Memory, a brand new interview with screenwriter Wen Kei Chi. Let's see. A Leslie Chung story, Hong Kong's eternal icon, a brand new feature-length documentary on the film star. Hong Kong Confidential, inside a Chinese ghost story, a brand new interview with Hong Kong cinema expert Grady Hendrix. Master of Illusion, an archival interview with producer Sui Hark. The Warrior, an archival interview with actor Wu Ma. Archival interview with composer James Wong. Deleted scene, extended scenes, theatrical trailer, image gallery for... There's too much here. So, A Chinese Ghost Story 2, brand new audio commentary with Asian cinema expert. Hold on. Asian cinema expert. Lost my place. Mind is drifting. Who was I? Oh, Inside a Ghost Story, brand new interview with Hong Kong cinema expert Grady Hendrix. Story of a sequel, a brand new interview with Hong Kong cinema expert David West. A Legend in the 3 Acts, an archival interview with director Ching Su Tong. Voice from the Grave, an archival interview with actor Lao Su Ming. Archival interview with composer James Wong. Deleted scenes and extended scenes. Theatrical trailer. A Chinese Ghost Story 3. Brand new audio commentary with Asian expert James Mudge. He's all over this release. Film Without Limits, a new Hong Kong cinema. That's a documentary. Got everybody in this bad boy. John Woo, Sui Hark, Jackie Chan. Everybody's in that documentary. Hong Kong Confidential. Inside a Chinese Ghost Story 3, a brand new interview with Hong Kong cinema expert Grady Hendrix. He's also all over these releases. Third Time Lucky. A brand new interview with Hong Kong cinema expert David West. Archival interview with composer James Wong. Archival interview with stunt coordinator Wen Bun. And then we got Enter the Video Store Video Vengeance. Welcome to the Arrow Video Store in the late 80s and early 90s. Boom of DTV direct-to-video action films. Vengeance was a key theme amongst the bullet-ridden gunfights, vehicular explosions, helicopters, and muscly man on a mission. In the second edition of the Arrow Video's Enter the Video Store series, we collate some of the more underrated and lesser-seen gems from the period, featuring a wonderfully nostalgic cast list including Dolph Lundgren, Yaphet Kotto, John Saxon, John Schneider, Ken Foray, David Hasselhoff, and and scores more. Um, yeah, these are all movies I don't think a lot of these guys wanted to talk about. I mean, some of these people have passed away. Yaphet Kotto has passed away, as well as John Saxon. Um, but these movies are not good, which is a shame. Which is a shame because I rather liked the first box. I thought it was incredibly charming. Um, Let me go get it, actually. Let me go get the first box set. Dun, 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 dun. So I have the first box set here. I don't think I ever did a full-on review of this. The first box set of Enter the Video Store Empire of Screams. Really cool box set. One of their most... this thing sold out fast when it first came out. Really nice box set. There are all the movies inside. It's a opens like a cigarette box, top loading, if you will. And I really like that. I've had this in my collection for the last couple of years. I know they re-released a more standard edition of it where it doesn't have the slip cover and it doesn't have the box coming off. I don't think so. And it's a little more slimmed down and a little more sleek and a little more affordable. But the second box set that they're going with here looks to be a little differently themed, and I can understand why. It's definitely a revenge. It's a revenge box set, if you will. It's all movies dealing with revenge. In Ministry of Vengeance, Vietnam vet and devoted minister Reverend David Miller, John Schneider, puts down his Bible in exchange for an assault rifle to take revenge on the Lebanese terrorist who murdered his family. Meanwhile, in The Final Alliance, ex-Marine Will Colton, David Hasselhoff, returns to his small hometown with his pet puma to take on a corrupt sheriff and a gang of bikers, led by an albino named Ghost. John Saxon, the hugely enjoyable cult classic ROTOR, presents a rogue robotic cop who takes to the streets of Dallas acting as judge, jury, and executioner, and only its creator, robotics expert Barrett Cauldron, can stop him. In Peter Maris's film Hangfire, Vietnam veteran and local sheriff Ike Slayton teams up with his old army friend Billy Kenforay to rescue his wife held hostage by a large group of escaped convicts. Finally, stunt legend Vic Armstrong's directorial debut, Joshua Tree, sees Dolph Lundgren on the run and seeking revenge against the corrupt cop portrayed by George Siegel, who framed him and put him behind bars. So as you can see here, all movies dealing with vengeance. I saw all of these movies, and there's a reason why they are all direct-to-video movies. This director here, Peter Maris, he directed Hangfire, and he directed Ministry of Vengeance. He does not know how to edit or shoot action scenes very well, I would say. The squib work in those movies and the action scenes and the editing are really bad. Really bad. Like, sometimes laughably bad. Let me put it this way. It doesn't look like he was dealing with like a super small budget. Like he had some money to deal with. Robert Rodriguez in El Mariachi on like a $5,000 or $7,000 budget did better squib and action sequences than this guy did with a larger budget. I mean, it is a skill issue. It is a skill issue. It's just some of these movies are just not good. You can tell that they are direct to video. You can tell that you would rent these at Blockbuster or your local video store just because the covers would look cool. It's those types of movies, and the premises are like, getting vengeance because someone killed my family, getting vengeance because someone captured my wife. You know what I mean? I have a pet puma and I'm going to fight these local gang guys because they don't like me because I'm in their town. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's dumb stuff. It really is dumb stuff. Or there's this movie, the ROTOR is kind of just a ripoff, a low budgeted ripoff of RoboCop. What would happen if RoboCop went rogue but on a super low budget? that's the movie. So you can understand what I'm saying here. Not the best of movies, but there were some actors in here that you will recognize. You'll recognize John Schneider. You'll recognize Dolph Lundgren, John Saxon, Ken Foray, Yaphet Kotto. You'll recognize these people. George Segal is another one. Um, I think in Ministry of Vengeance, um, Ned Beatty's in it. Ned Beatty's in the movie as well. So you'll recognize these people that are in these movies, but the movies themselves are not very good. But for special features and technical specs, we have a limited edition packaging featuring newly commissioned artwork by uh, Laurie Greasley, reversible sleeves featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Yvonne Quinnett, collector's perfect bound book featuring new writing on the film by Paul Paulet, Jenny Kermode, Yasmina Kantita, Russell Lee, and John Terani, plus select archival material for Ministry of Vengeance, brand new 2K restoration from the original 35mm camera negative, high definition presentation of the movie. Let's see, brand new audio commentary by Rob Hill, author of the Bad Movie Bible. Act Like It's Warmer, a brand new interview with actor John Schneider. Wow, that's interesting. Lebanon and California, brand new interview with director of photography Mark Norris. Apocalypse Then, an appreciation of the Vietnam veteran genre by Douglas E. Winter, filmed exclusively for Arrow Video in 2026. Wow. Disc 2 has The Final Alliance, brand new 2K restoration from the 35mm interpositive. Brand new audio commentary by Mike Hewitt, Russell Lee, and Jim Smith from Eat My Brains. My eyes are failing me. Hassling the Hoff, a brand new interview with co-writer producer Harold Goldstein. The Rise of DTV, Dave Wayne from the Schlock Pit discusses the history of the direct-to-video boom. And then disc 3 is ROTOR, which is a high-definition presentation featuring additional grading and picture restoration by Arrow Films. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of work had to be put into that movie. A brand new interview commentary by Maddie Brudrowitz and Dave Wayne from the Schlock Pit. They were both here on Chasing Labels years ago. A Matter of Character, a brand new interview with actor Bill Blair. Machine Head, a potted history of Robo Schlock, a visual essay from Maddie Budrowitz and Dave Wayne from the Schlock Pit. Interzone from 1989, a bonus feature film in SD starring Bruce Abbott and Beatrice Ring. And then we got trailers. And then disc 4 is Hangfire, brand new 2K restoration from the 35mm original interpositive, sorry. Brand new audio commentary by Russell Brody, Ross Hendry, Scott Lyle, Pat McGarvey, Anna Weston, Lisa Weston of the Edinburgh Zombie Club. Brothers in Arms, a brand new interview with actor Ken Foray. Crash and Burn, a brand new interview with director of photography Mark Morris. And then finally, disc 5 is Joshua Tree, brand new 2K restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. There's a high-definition presentation of two different versions of the film, the R-rated cut and the unrated cut of the movie, which is called Army of One, available via seamless branching. Okay, that's kind of cool. Archival commentary with director Vic Armstrong and producer Andy Armstrong. Vic Armstrong on Joshua Tree, a brand new interview with the director, recorded exclusively for Arrow Video in 2025. A look back at the Joshua Tree and archival featurette, archival interview with director Vic Armstrong and producer Andy Armstrong discussing their careers, alternate ending with optional commentary by Vic and Andy Armstrong, trailer, image gallery. And that is it for Enter the Video Store. What's it called? No, I skipped way past it. Right. Enter the Video Store, Video Vengeance, which is that's a cool title for some not so great movies. But if you have the first release, chances are you may want to get the second one if you have OCD collecting issues like myself. But just be forewarned, those are direct-to-video movies. They're not great. These were direct-to-video movies as well, but these had some charm to them. And these were like genre films. These were, horror genre films. Robot Jocks is a fascinating movie. A really fascinating movie. But you had the first one here had the Dungeon Master, Dolls, Cellar Dweller, Arena, and Robot Jocks. That was what was in the first set from a few years ago. But that is pretty much it for everything here on Chasing Labels. I'm just going to take a quick glance over at my notes to see if I missed anything, just because I'm always afraid that I missed something. And I've done it. I do it all the time. Uh, Once I put the notes up, there's a lot of, it's kind of all out there. Let's see. Oh, MVD. I forgot about Missing in Action. So I did miss something. Oh, good thing I took a gander. So while we're here on Blu-ray.com, I will look at Missing in Action. Missing in Action has just recently gotten a Blu-ray release and from a 4K restoration from Kino. So it's interesting that it's getting released again so soon. Like, it just got released in 2023 from a 4K restoration. I guess they then took that 4K restoration, and MVD is now putting out a 4K UHD of it. So let me see if I can find some info on this release here. Yeah, here it is from August 3rd. So this is the pretty well-known Chuck Norris movie. The MVD Rewind Collection will release on 4K Blu-ray Joseph Zito's Missing in Action from 1984, starring Chuck Norris, M. Emmett Walsh, David Tress, Lenore Kasdorf, and James Hong. The release is scheduled to arrive on the market on September 22nd. Description: martial arts master Chuck Norris is the star of Missing in Action, a blistering, fast-paced action adventure dramatizing the bitter plight of American servicemen still held captive in Vietnam and one man's mission to get them out. Special Forces Colonel James Braddock now knows all too well that American soldiers are secretly imprisoned in Vietnamese POW camps. He spent 10 years in a brutal labor camp long after the war's end, until he led his men in a daring escape to freedom. Home at last, Braddock reluctantly agrees to join a fact-finding mission in Saigon to question the Vietnamese about other MIAs. Disgusted by the mealy-mouthed denials of the sadistic General Tran, portrayed by James Hong, Braddock enlists the aid of State Department official Ann Fitzgerald and slips away to find out the real facts. This reminds me a lot of Rambo 2. Rambo First Blood Part 2. That's what it reminds me of. Similar type of premise, rescuing POWs. 4K restoration from the original camera negative from 2023. It's the same, it's that same restoration. Dolby Vision and HDR presentation of the film. Archival 2017 audio commentary with director Joseph Zito, moderated by Red Shirt Pictures' Michael Felsher. Archival 2017 interview with screenwriter James Bruner. That's 26 minutes long. Original theatrical trailer, reversible artwork, collectible 4K mini poster. I have actually another one of their MVD Rewind Collection releases. I actually have number one, which is the Swamp Thing. This is of course the movie that was directed by Wes Craven. This is the Swamp Thing adaptation directed by Wes Craven. This was MVD Rewind number 1. And yeah, I just happen to have this next to me just to give you a sense of what the packaging looks like. It's made to look like an old CED, which is a long defunct format that was kind of pushed out by Laserdisc. Laserdisc was the better CD format of the 1980s and the 1990s. But yeah, that's kind of what the MVD Rewind collection looks like. So they're putting a 4K out of Missing in Action, the Chuck Norris film. So now that is officially the end of Chasing Labels. So we went through all of that. Let me just remove this here from the screen and put me back onto larger format here, so I can do my little outro. So that is it for Chasing Labels episode spy number 197. Stay tuned because this weekend on August 15th, we'll be doing another episode of the Unwatched Pile. You can check out the most recent episode of the Unwatched Pile. You can also check out movies down memory lane. You can also check out our most recent reviews of Criterion releases for the month of August, where we reviewed Harlan County, USA, the 4K UHD release of that, as well as the Eclipse series number 49, the 5 radical documentaries by Kazuo Hara and Sachiko Kobayashi. The Eclipse series is revived now on Blu-ray, no longer on the DVDs, but check out that here we have here on the channel. Plus, I do plan on doing a Criterion sale haul for the month of for the July sale at Barnes and Noble. I have all of them stacked up over here on a chair, and I have to do a video that is coming sometime soon. Hopefully, I have enough energy to do it this week because I want to get it done. But that is forthcoming. It is forthcoming. But I check out some of the comments here. Have I seen the movie Just Go With It? Is that the Adam Sandler movie? I think that's the Adam Sandler movie, Just Go With It. I have seen it, and not in a very long time. I also find that the Jennifer Aniston recent Jennifer Aniston Adam Sandler like private investigating movies that they've been doing on Netflix are kind of charming and entertaining. They're not great, but they're fun. They're lots of fun. Whether there's married couple that are now private investigators essentially, or they're spies. I think they're spies. Yeah, they're spies. It's kind of what they tried to do that with True Lies, where I feel like they've been trying to get something to do with True Lies off the ground for many, many years, where it would be the Arnold Schwarzenegger character and the Jamie Lee Curtis character as this like spy married couple doing missions together or something like that, and they've never been able to get it off the ground. Little did we know that they were able to do it with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston just by happenstance. But yeah, that is it for everything. That's it for everything for Chasing Labels number 197. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You could check out the audio only portion of the podcast wherever you can find podcasts, Apple Podcast, Google, Spotify, all those typical places. Or you can actually find the audio here on YouTube. We have the audio form here on YouTube, as well as the video form here on the live feed, all that kind of stuff. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And hey, keep on watching those movies, because I know I will.